And welcome to this week's Saturday Football Live. I think this might be one of the best ones we're going to have now. In the studio, as you can see on the camera, as always, we have Gary Thompson for DSN, and I'm delighted to be joined by former East Kilbride and St Cadoc's manager, Martin Fellows. Fez, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
I'm delighted you could make it on, honestly, because we were struggling. You were the last option, but we managed to get you. We're all right. That's not true. Look, this week we have, obviously, Fez no longer being at St Cadoc's, so we will speak about that. And something quite interesting, I don't know if many of you saw on the page's Twitter, with the reconstruction for Tier 5, or the potential reconstruction for Tier 5. So that's something we're going to get into as well, because I did an interview with Callum Law from the Evening Express and the Press and Journal up north. Callum was really good, explained the situation. So we will go into that. Before we get right into it, as always, we're going to go for PG versus the Pundits. I managed to get a draw last week.
Well, Paul, you're up against it this week because I'm unbeaten, so I'm home Fez is going to keep that unbeaten on for this one.
Because I had 3 in a row.
No pressure.
Been a while since I was unbeaten.
I like it. So this week, our featured fixtures are Broomhill and Berwick, Clydebank versus Hurlford, Irvine Meadow versus Vale Clyde, Forth versus Muirkirk, Glasgow Perthshire versus Irvine Bricks, and Easterhouse versus Royal Albert. Fez, as it's your first time on the show, we will put you right under the spotlight straight off the bat. You're the man that knows more about the Lone League than myself and Gaz put together. Mm-hmm. Broomhill and Berwick, what's the thoughts on that?
I think Broomhill, obviously, at the fighting end of that table, trying to stay up, and Berwick, new manager appointed quite recently, and Kevin finding his feet in there. But Broomhill have done a wee bit of work recently and brought in a few players. Greg Wilds went in there, and so I think that'll be a tight affair. I'm going to go for 2 each.
2?
Two each.
Desmond. No, I'd say this isn't the highest of caliber shows. We don't need exact scores.
All right.
Because we can hardly get a correct result.
So we'll take
a draw then.
A draw. Guys.
Listen, I'll leave with Fez in this one. I met Xander a few weeks back there, just talking about how he's getting on. I'm going to go with Fez. I haven't seen enough of the Lone League, so I'm backing out this one.
Yeah, good guys at Broomhill as well. I met George Fraser last night at the Commonwealth Copes game, so I don't want him having a go at me for saying
no, quite right. So we'll go with that. We'll
go for a draw.
Go for a draw. I'm happy with that.
So I have an interview from Xander Diamond, which we will play once we get into the featured fixtures properly. For me, I'm going to put my neck in the line in that. I'm including Broomhill as a Western Scotland team, right? They're included because if they get relegated, that's not the reason I'm saying it. If we get the reconstruction, then they will be considered a West team. So that's where my thinking is. Not that I think that they'll get relegated, but because the great result against Bo'ness last week, I think a decent result against Hearts during the week, I'm going to go for Broomhill in this one. So there's a good chance we might have another defeat for me. Clydebank Hurlford, Gaz, what do we think on that game?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's quite easy. I would lean Clydebank in this one. Clydebank, last 5 games, obviously only drawn 1 with Johnsonborough. So for me, Clydebank have been strong all season. And I know Hurlford are playing for it. You know, they've had a couple of good results, but now I'm going to go with Clydebank. Fez, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Clydebank win. I think they're counting down games now in order to get their hands in the league title. So
I think they'll just put it to bed today. So I think Clydebank will take that.
I will be in agreement with you. I think Clydebank. I think that it's becoming tricky. I appreciate at times I'm picking a lot of the same teams week in, week out for the featured fixtures, but it's due to the nature of where we are in the league, where Hurlford have had a poor season, and I've been very vocal in the fact that I think that their aging squad, despite a few years back having a lot of quality, I think that the aging squad can play a big factor in it. But I think when you get to this stage, it's a different beast when you've got a team who need points and you have to go and try and get something. How many times do teams in the bottom of the league beat teams up the top late in the season when they need points? And it kind of form can go out the window, but I'm going to be in agreement. I'm going to go with Clydebank. Irvine Meadow and Vale Clyde. Fez, what's the thoughts on this?
I think since Jamie went in there, you see the upturn in results, and I think I'm going last week to Keene Park and taking them all the way to the penalties.
It was phenomenal.
It was great, you know, and I was really delighted for Jamie. I know Jamie and Murdo really well, and 2 top guys, and I was delighted that Jamie could go back there, and I'm sure he'll be gutted to lose, but could come away with his head held high that he given a good account his new side there. So John's doing a really good job at Villa Clyde also, and they're battling to make sure they stay in the first division. And I just think I think Jamie's made some good additions since he went in there, and he's added a wee bit of quality, and he needs to try and pull them away for that.
I think they've got a lot to fight for. They've still got a few games in hand. So yeah, I'm going to go. Do you go with medal?
Yeah, I'm going to go with medal.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jamie's starting now. I mean, he's a few weeks in now, so he'll start getting his stamp on it. The players will start understanding what he's wanting to do. So yeah, I think Medal got a lot to play for.
We will go more into depth in each of these games through the show. I'm going to lean towards Med as well. I think that Villa Clyde are a tricky side. A draw wouldn't surprise me today as well, because we've touched on it a few times on the show that Villa Clyde, I think it's their draws that are causing them issues, because in terms of where they are in the league, they've lost a third of their games and looking at potentially getting relegated. For me, normally if you're a third of your games, you're in a good shout of being at least mid-table. But we'll touch on that more. Forth versus Muirkirk, an interesting one as well, guys. What do we think?
Well, I was at Muirkirk last week, so it was good to meet Ross and the team down there against St Anne's. I was quite impressed in how they played, so I'm going to lean with Muirkirk in that one. I think they've had a good couple of runs, good result last week against St Anne's. Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah,
likewise. I think Muirkirk, I think they had a good result against the Ants last week, and they're probably just looking to stay in that hunt for promotion or winning the league title. And Ross has done a great job there since he went in, and probably took him a year to get settled with I think he moved Ben Burbs under 20s over there.
Right.
It's taken a wee bit of time, but now I think they're showing that there's a lot of good young players there. So I fancy them today.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I'm going to be the same as yourselves. I'm going to go for Muirkirk.
It's going to be a draw.
See, that first game.
Well, see, for me, that first game could be a big one. But Forth, I think that Forth, just like I'm touching on potentially with Hurlford, when teams low down beat teams higher up at this end of the season, you know what it's like, because you played them in the cup final. I believe the result, without seeing the game, I believe the result maybe wasn't quite accurate in terms of they started off quite strongly, but then got a man sent off, and usually able to kind of power through.
Yeah.
But I think they're potentially in a false position for me. I suppose it's easy to say they're not, because you are where you are for the reason. But I think in terms of quality, they have enough to go and put 3 or 4 wins together.
Yeah, so I'd agree. I actually know quite a lot of the players at Forth. There's a good chunk of them that at one stage or another played youth football at East Kilbride, and they've got a striker in Kyle Craig that's into the mid-20s in goals. So I think when you've got somebody scoring goals consistently, then you do have a half chance of staying up. But I do think you're right. I think they actually have players and quality there that probably would be in a different position in the league if some things went other ways.
Exactly. I think that is the thing for me. Perthshire versus Irvine Vicks in the third division. Fez, how do you see that one going?
Difficult. I know Wishaw went to Irvine Vicks last week. Irvine Vicks went to Wishaw, and Wishaw got a good result, sitting bottom of that league. And they're similarly to what you talked about. They're fighting for, to make sure they stay in the division. So likewise with Irvine Vicks, again a wee bounce since Ben went in there, a wee bit up and down in terms of form. A good win at Glasgow United, but some difficult results at Wishaw and Greenock. So I think that one's got a draw written all over it.
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. That Perthshire is a hard place to go. That's the thing for me. I know they'll be kind of used to the surface and all that, but I think, you could get a draw at this. Again, I'm going to go with Fez's expertise in this one, right? Now, I like to shuffle the shoulders and grease them up a little bit before I come in, so that the pressure's on the other pundit.
Use your tongue well on your cheek there.
Aye. No, I would potentially went with Perthshire just because they're at home today. They've got a lot to play for. They've still got a few games in hand on Irvine Vicks as well, so they can go on a good push up the table if they get a result today. But I'm going to stick with the draw. Let's go for it.
I was really, really hoping that you were going to go against Fez there.
Right.
My thinking is, I think Irvine Vicks have had a shocking season. I appreciate that Stuart McDuff, when he was in, was trying to change how a lot of things were done, and that can take time, and it can have an adverse effect to start. Then over a period of time, it could work. But obviously, they parted company, and he's no longer there. Then you Kev Adam and stuff came in. They got an initial wee bounce, and Ben's come in and got a couple of wee games, and it's I think that they're a team who are where they are because that's where they deserve to be.
Right.
But on the flip side, Perthshire have picked up 1 point in the last 6 games. I think that a draw is probably a safe shout, and I'm going to be safe because I've been wrong so often.
The draw as well here.
So
That's a massive opportunity for you there.
I genuinely
Most boring prediction quiz.
I will not bow to peer pressure here. Right? I will not bow to peer pressure. But I will go for the same thing. Final game, Easterhouse and Royal Albert. Gaz, what's the thoughts?
Easterhouse, Royal Albert, let's have a look. For me, Easterhouse have had a great season. Royal Albert have got tons to play for, good few games in hand. But the last couple of results for Easterhouse have been really strong. Good results, 5-2 against Newmains and 4-0 against Campbelltown. So that shows that they're on a wee upward spiral. So just the way I've seen them playing as well a couple of times this season. It's not an easy place to go and play, Stepford. So I'm going to lean with Easterhouse in this one. But if you can like me any better, I could be swayed.
I'm going to take the Albert in this.
You're going to take the Albert?
Yeah. I think a slow start to the season, but
Okay.
I think they've picked up some really big results in the last. I think maybe even since the turn of Christmas, it's their kind of fortunes have changed, and you know, Knightswood 1-0 and some of the other results they've had. They beat Eglinton, you know, it might be 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, 5-3.
I was impressed with Eglinton when we went down there and played them in the cup, and I think I fancy the Albert today. I think they're.
So guys,
see, I don't know because you know they're pushing for that promotion spot. Easterhouse. They beat Kello above them. They've got a couple of games. They can just keep the pressure on Kello if they keep that today. But
my only thing is, I think if you looked at Royal Albert's form over the last 7 or 8 games, they would be showing form of a team playing to get promoted as much as they're not. It's not where they're sitting at the table at the moment. But I think again, without me knowing too much, I think they maybe got some players in. They've maybe found their rhythm a wee bit and they're climbing the table. So I'm going to go against the grain and take Royal Albert, because otherwise if I don't, this we're going to be a 3-way tie here.
What we're looking at thing is
Royal Albert, that's fine with me.
I'm absolutely raging you've done that because Fez, I'm completely
shock.
I'm going to put a wee G beside that, right? Just
game abandoned. I'm calling game abandoned.
So it could all hinge on Broomhill and Berwick. For me, like I said, we'll touch more on these games in the next few minutes. Really, we'll work our way through them. But like you said, Royal Albert have added. They have added very well.
Yeah.
Connor, who got a couple of interviews with, so we'll speak to Connor, or we'll hear from Connor. I think that if this Royal Albert team just now had started the season, I think we'd have a 6 or 7 team shootout for that third spot.
Yeah.
Whereas they're sitting 12th, 13th place in the league right now, which is based on how the season started, fair. But with the quality they've got is different. They beat Eglinton 5-3, like you said, and that was in Cowannon. They beat Knightswood. They lost marginally 2-1 to Port Glasgow, and the two of them, in my opinion, are streets ahead of everybody else in the league. So I think that I'm going to be with Royal Albert on that. So the predictions are all the same. First game, Broomhill Berwick. I've gone for Broomhill, you guys have gone for a draw. Second game, Clydebank Hurlford, both gone for Clydebank. Meda, Vela Clyde, both Meda. Fourth Muirkirk, both Muirkirk. Perthshire and Irvine Vicks, both draw. And Easterhouse and Royal Albert, both Royal Albert. I think we were close to it being very different, but you folded like a cheap deck chair.
But listen, see if this all turns around and it's Fez is right, which I hope he is. It'll all go well. Another victory. I don't care how I win. Who helps me win?
Have you won every week, or would a wee draw thrown in?
No,
I'm going to actually have a look back in the book.
You can't lose if you just copy the guy sitting next to you.
No, I know, that is true.
These guys are the experts.
So let's see.
Des has won 1 week, Johnny won 1 week.
So the 18th of January, yourself and Des beat me 5-4. Then the 8th of February, yourself and Josh beat me 3-2. And where are you here? Gary, yourself and Johnny in the 1st of March beat me 3-2. So every game's been very tight, but
Very tight.
so that's 3 out of 3 for
Three
you.
out of
Can
three,
you keep? You're the Roger Hanna of
And minus one.
minus one.
Minus
No,
one.
minus
Brilliant.
one.
Brilliant.
So we'll start to look a bit more in detail at these fixtures. Broomhill and Berwick. Touched on Broomhill. To me, we spoke about it last week as well. It looked like Broomhill, despite having games in hand, were going to be in quite a tricky situation. But beating Bo'ness last week, which I think was quite a shock.
Yep.
Bo'ness sitting 8th in the league. That was quite a surprise for me, but it was a really good result for them, a really strong one, showed some good character as well. They won there, then they draw with Hearts during the week, which I believe, from what I've heard, that they should have got the win there. So 4 points from those 2 games. I'd imagine they'd have been very happy before them, maybe slightly disappointed after. But they're sitting in 17th place on 23 points, played 27 games. Berwick are 16th place, 28 games played, 25 points. So today, if Broomhill win, they will leapfrog Berwick with a game in hand, and they'll be putting a bit of pressure on Cumbernauld Colts. Because you've spent a bit of time in that division, and I understand it's been a couple of years. There's been obviously changes where Broomhill became Open Goal Broomhill and all that stuff, and now it's very different indeed. But what is your view, firstly, just on the league as a whole? Because I think that we're a bit ignorant in the West, and I think we dismiss the Lowland League a touch because we think that our Premier League's so good.
It's certainly a different league. You know, I wouldn't sit here and say one, when you say better, you know, I suppose that's from a certain point of view. It's certainly a different league. It's a league with a lot more travelling. I think it's a league that, and I don't have any statistics to back this up. I think if you look to the average age of players in the league, I'm going to say it's younger than the Western Scotland League. And I take into account the B teams. I look at teams like East Stirling, I look at teams like Civil Service Rollers, and they tend to pick up younger players coming out of academies, especially Civil over in the east side. So I think it's a different league. It's certainly a league that when you go to games, it's less hustle and bustle than the West. You know, the games in the West can be more combative, can be more end-to-end. I feel like the momentum swings in those games a lot quicker, whereas in the Lowland League, I do think the games are played a lot more. You know, the teams are because they have younger players and because it's a different...
Do you think it's more like, see, when you go and watch, I don't mean it to sound like I'm saying that the football's like, do you think with youth football, in particular in the last 10, 15 years, it has become very... Teams almost stand off to let you play out for the back, and then everybody builds from the back.
100%.
Do you feel that the Lowland League, because of the younger players, is a bit more like that? And to caveat that as well, I wonder if the West of Scotland League isn't quite like that, because particularly the higher up, you have more crowd, you have bigger crowds, and you maybe get a bit of pressure put on you
100%.
if you try and play that way.
100%. And I think it's not to say one's better than the other, but I do think you're right. I think from my time in the Lowland League, it was played a lot more, and I do think even if you look at teams like Stirling Uni and Edinburgh Uni aren't in the league anymore, but these were kind of full-time teams where they come in and they work through things. And you know, Stirling, the job that Chris has done at Stirling over the years is just outstanding. But again, they have cycles of players that come in through the scholarship programs,
and that's how he does that through that cycle of players. That's why I think he does a fantastic job at Stirling Uni. But I mean, obviously they get the facilities, the set up there.
We see it with Glasgow United. I think that Glasgow United, Glasgow Uni, slightly different to Stirling, and I believe the setup at Stirling is very geared towards sport. Their campus is excellent. With Glasgow Uni, they've now, for me, found their level. They're a good third division side who could maybe, if they get fortunate over a year or two, reach the second, but then they probably drop in. But I think they're too good for the fourth division, and I think that's a factor for me when you do have that turnover of playing staff.
Yeah, and even teams like Cali Braves that have the kind of mix of hybrid full time as well, where you know they want to play the game, they want to press the game. Same with Cumbernauld Colts. You know, Cumbernauld Colts have always kind of historically been a team of younger players and a team of trying. I think it's very much a league to put players back in the shop window. Yeah. You know, whereas and I think there is the West is so attractive as well, and its product. You know, even the locality of it, as you say, some of the big crowds,
That's a big factor.
Tal,
the finances,
the finances involved in the league, is a lot bigger. And I would even go to say, teams that would be in the bottom half or bottom three of the West Premier, would have the finances to compete in the top half of the Lowland League. And I think that's, I don't think I'm talking out of turn by saying that, but I think that's the facts. And I also think there'll be certain players, you might have a young player coming out of an academy structure that looks at the Lowland League, looks at it being a tier above, looks at it being a shop window and wants to go play there. And then you might have a guy that's 27, 28 that's coming out of playing part-time football in League One or League Two. And there's a certain appeal to the West with the locality, with the crowds, with Auchinleck, with Clydebank, with Pollock. We go into these great grounds and great games. And so I think it's a different league. And that's not me saying that one can't fit in with the other. You look at Tranent, Broxburn, these teams, Bonnyrigg that have come through the Lowland League that historically have been junior East teams and historic teams. So it's not to say that you can't go in there and I think you look at Clydebank want to get there, and I think when they do, they'll thrive when they do get there eventually. And I don't think whether that be this year or next year or the following year, I think they have an ambition to get into that Lowland League and then beyond it. And I think once they get to the promised land, they'll
from your point, if Clydebank get there, is it a big transition for them, or do you think they'll settle in quite quickly, or do you think they need to potentially change a bit of their style and a bit of their approach come the Lowland League, or do you think they can?
No, I think they'll settle in quite quickly. I think any team that's come up from the East, I know no teams come up from the West yet, but Bonnyrigg, Kelty, Broxburn, Tranent, they've all went in and none of them have been languishing at the bottom half. They've all battled right up the top half, and so much that Kelty and Bonnyrigg aren't in there anymore. So I think Clydebank would be in exactly the same boat.
I agree. I think that the top, in particular, the top of the West Premier is so strong that, like you said, you've touched on. When you look at the top six in the Lowland League, you've got East Kilbride, who are obviously a very established Lowland League side, with Mick Kennedy, Cy Ferry, a lot of experience in there, a lot of quality, so they're sitting top. You've got Celtic B, who, again, it's full-time footballers who are supposed to be the upper echelon of younger players in this country. Cali Braves, I think, have been a bit of a surprise package for me without knowing a massive amount. But then you've got Linlithgow, Tranent, Broxburn, and even dropped down to 8th place and 9th place. You've got Bo'ness, Civil Service Drovers, these kind of teams. Something that I found interesting, I know we've really not touched on the Broomhill game, but whilst we've got somebody like yourself on the show, I think it's quite good to go into a bit more detail. We are going to talk about the Tier 5 possible reconstruction later in the show. But I think that you see when you look at the teams that have come down for League 2 rating, I think that it's got to, I think everybody would agree, barring League 2 teams, that it's got to be opened up to more promotion and relegation. But you look at Albion Rovers, who are doing quite comfortably the best out of the former League 2 sides, and they're sitting in 7th place. You've got East Stirling in 11th, Cowdenbeath in 12th, and then you've got Berwick potentially looking at getting relegated in 16th place. I think that shows that the Lowland League is a stronger league than people give it credit for, when you've got these teams who, in a sense, are competing in League 2, are bottom half of the league at best.
Yeah, I think, without contradicting myself, I've had, I don't want to say arguments with people, but I think you'll only have to look at the results from when West teams play Lowland League teams. I think a lot of the time that, unless it is an East Kilbride, then a lot of times the West teams can do something and beat those teams. And I think, remember back to Troon beating Cali Braves last year 4-1 or something like that. And it was really comprehensive. And at that time, Troon were fighting to stay in the West Prem, and I think that is a reality. I think that the West teams have the resources to absolutely compete with any Lowland League team. But it's like anything. You could argue that the teams in the top end of the Lowland League would have said the same about League 2. East Kilbride, Kelty, Bonnyrigg, Edinburgh City, they all felt that once they could get into the league above, then they'd be fine. And I think the same goes for the West. The product's so good, the teams are so strong, and any team, in my opinion, from the win into the West from the Lowland League, right now, if you looked at the 16 teams in the West Premier, I'm going to say not one of them would get relegated at the Lowland League next year.
I know, I would be very strong. I actually think that even take Darvel, for example, who are bottom of the Premier League, I don't even think they get relegated for that league. I don't think they would be pushing to win it in any form at all, but I don't believe that they would. We'll go back to the feature fixture of Broomhill and Berwick. Fez, you guys have obviously gone wrong and gone for a draw. What is the thinking behind that?
I just think when you look at two teams both desperate to stay in the division or to stay away from those bottom two places, you know, not a lot between the teams. I think it's one of those games none of the two want to be beaten. And I do think Broomhill have picked up results recently to get them away from that. And by the way, I was at the Cumbernauld Colts game last night. What a job John Doyle's done since he went in there.
Unbelievable job.
You know, you look at the table this morning and they've almost pulled away from relegation in there. I think they're 5 points now clear of the bottom team.
Which will feel good.
Absolutely.
It's going to be there as well. So I think that's only going to get better.
100%. And they were by far the better team last night. They were well deserving of their win against Broxburn. And, you know, I think I'd have been really disappointed to see Cumbernauld Colts just having been where they were at the Lowland League this time last year, and they went through a bit of a transition this summer because they done so well. They lost a lot of players to, you know, teams with more resources, and they've had to rebuild. And I think it would have been a real sad one to see them come out of that league. So delighted to see them get that result. And again, it's a different. There'll be a lot of people out there that'll disagree with me because they're not a historic club with fans coming through the door, but that doesn't make them. They're a huge community club. You know, they do a lot for the community. They've had a team that's competing in that division. And for me, selfishly from a coaching point of view, they have put a lot of players over the years in the shop window who've ended up going to play league football and going to play professional football.
Which is what you want to see.
And I think they're a good club to be a platform like that. And I think John's a great guy.
Yeah, totally.
And he's done a great job in there. So
John's. I knew John a little bit when he was at St Cadix. I've known Goms over the years as well. I think the two of them are going to be phenomenal for there. And if they keep going the way they've started, it can only get better. So
it's one of those clubs that if you don't actually see when I say resources, I don't mean wages, but the platform they give you to work in.
Yeah.
You know, Craig Malcolm, who's, you know, a real close friend of mine and worked with me 2 different spells at St Cadix, was there, and he would tell you that, you know, what the club do for the players and the coaches is quite unbelievable. You know, it's one of those clubs where everything's provided for you, your kit, your food, you know, everything. Because they can't maybe compete with the wages at the top end of the table, so they try and
you can look at
I think I agree. Myself and Josh Gardner spoke about this a lot, where it is, if you don't have the money to pay people, then you have to make sure that you have some other form of
selling.
Exactly, because for me, when I played at the Ants, and I appreciate the Ants Park's not quite what it was, but for me, that was a big selling point, that the park was excellent. It was like bowling green. Me being a big runner, I thought this will suit me perfectly. Sadly, I was fat and overweight at the time, so it didn't work out. But that is, for me, you do have to have other things. And I even look back to my first spell at Maryhill, which would have been 2007, 2008. At that time, our training kit was always washed and ready for you on the peg, and you went in, you put it.
I think clubs that do that look after their players and their coaches like that. And as I said, it's something just not to think about.
No, and it makes some difference, and I agree with that stuff. For me, I think Broomhill, like I said, I think they'll get the win today purely off the back of just how good they've been recently. I think that Bo'ness result, again, I do say it in a sense that I'm now starting to know more about the Lowland League for the last few weeks, where I've been paying attention, whereas I didn't really before. I kind of knew where roughly everybody sat, but that was it. But now, looking a bit deeper into it, that Bo'ness result for me, forgetting how important it is in terms of trying to stay in the league, it's just a generally impressive result, and they've got to take confidence for that. And once we come back to the break, I'll play Xander Diamond's interview, and we'll hear wee bits of how he's felt it's been over the last couple of games and stuff, because you know what it's like being in the dressing room. You take a lot of satisfaction and you take a bit of encouragement from a result that goes your way like that. But look, remember, see if you want to get in touch with us, you can get us on WhatsApp at 07396 717 412. That's 07396 717 412. So if you get any questions for myself and Gaz, which you probably won't, or if you get a question for Fez, then don't hesitate to get in touch, and we're happy to answer anything that you want to ask, or anything you want to talk about with your team. If you think that the team's playing well, or if it's not playing well, then just don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and we're more than happy to answer. And we'll be right back after these. the interview from Xander Diamond, and we're also talking about last night how it's a really good result for Cumbernauld, and I think that it's really interesting in that bottom end of the table, and I feel that Berwick aren't having as good a bounce as Broomhill, Cumbernauld, and that's partly why I have gone for Broomhill, and I think there's more pressure on Berwick as well to stay up, because see if they end up in the South of Scotland League they're going to. Could you imagine Berwick being in the South of Scotland League 5 years ago? That would have seemed.
Do you recover from that? That's the thing.
And that seems incomprehensible. That
I
they
said
would
this
be
to you a
there.
couple of weeks ago. For me, growing up, Cowdenbeath, I mean, they're a league team. I watched them growing up. Do you know what I mean? And then they're sitting alone.
I know. I tell you what, I used
well.
to hate going to Cowdenbeath. Absolutely hate.
No, we went there with Sco Bride in the playoff final, and it was probably it's up there. I've tried to block it out of my mind. With
Really?
The rain didn't stop, the pitch.
Mm.
All these Sco Bride
horrible.
supporters were over on the far side, no cover.
Up to the elements.
It was horrific.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
went to penalties. We get beaten penalties. It was one of those even horrible penalty
Ah,
shouts where only one guy missed out of 10. It was terrible.
We've actually had a comment on YouTube. So remember, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get us on YouTube Live. You can any comments that you want to put out to us, or you can get us on WhatsApp at 073 967 17412. That's 073 967 17412. But we do have a comment from Luke Houston. I delivered that guy a kebab a couple of months ago. Who's he talking about here?
He's talking about me.
Talking about you.
I was with him this morning having breakfast. And,
Something I've actually.
I'm glad it's a YouTube comment because they were going to try and phone in under a fake name. So
Look, you're more than welcome to phone in later on. Just make sure you don't swear.
Yeah.
And something I want to put out, if there's anybody from any of the clubs in the West listening, Fez does some great banners and he's got them for free. He's going to put them out onto. Oh, that's what I've been told anyway. I had a conversation during the week that Fez was going to be putting out the banners. But enough of that nonsense. I've asked Xander Diamond how confident he is after picking up 4 points like was touched on. So this is what he had to say on the back here.
Confidence is good in the camp. I think results definitely help that. I think at Bowness, I don't think many people would have predicted us getting a result there by ourselves. It was a really assured performance. I thought we showed different sides to our game, different sides to our personality. Again, I think over the course, I think we deserved to get the 3 points. So that was a good start to the week. Obviously, we played Hearts on Tuesday, and again, the boys started on the front foot. A very well drilled Hearts young team. Yeah, a lot of good players within that. We obviously took the lead. We were disappointed probably in the last 10 minutes before they had scored. We didn't get the penalty. I thought it was clear cut. I think even the Hearts bench knew it. However, we move on, and we could have, even when Hearts pegged us back, we could have won the game if they disallowed goals. So to get 4 points out of 6 and 2 tough fixtures, we're very happy at that. And it's onwards to Saturday against Berwick.
It's pretty much kind of what we're saying. I think that the 4 points are hugely important, and again, you touch on the confidence it gives you to go and beat Bowness, and then I won't lie, Heartsby obviously they had a good season. Was it a year or 2 years ago? They had a decent season, and it seems to have been, whether you agree or disagree with the Colts teams being in it, they seem to be less impressive this season, sitting kind of bottom half of the table. Over.
Yeah. I mean, they've got some of their young, strong players out on loan. Jamie Sandilands is at Montrose now, and look at James Wilson breaking into the Hearts first team, and now got a Scotland A squad call up this week, which is absolutely fantastic for James. And I know a lot of people have objections to the B teams, and I don't want to get into an argument like that. But I'm sure if you brought Graham Jones in here from Hearts today and asked him about success of the B teams, they'd say that to get James Wilson developed and in the first team and now playing for Scotland's national team this campaign is really fantastic. And I'm sure Hearts will not be looking at the table and going, "Oh, we're sitting in 10th place here. This is really disappointing." I think Hearts will be sitting here going, "We've got a player, an 18-year-old." By the way, James has just turned 18.
That's phenomenal.
And to be in the Scotland squad you know,
At
and
that age.
at that age is just
So they're
absolutely
going to be
fantastic.
happy. They're just happy with how they're
And other clubs, I remember when the B teams were coming in, and on Sportsound there was an argument between Donald Finlay and John Collins, and at the time Donald Finlay was the chairman of Cowdenbeath, and he was saying, you know, our teams aren't here to develop other teams' players, and I totally understand that sentiment. But as a nation, for us to try to develop young players and get them in the Scotland squads, to have one that you could argue is now the first player developed by the Lowland League.
But that shows the quality of the Lowland League. These players are competing in a league where they're also getting the tools and the skills to be able to take that forward.
And by the way, there's a lot of times where the B teams have it's maybe not reaped the rewards that the clubs would have wanted. And there's a lot of sticks to beat the B teams with. But I think so when one comes along that you can say, look, this is something that's worked. Then I think it's worth mentioning.
And see, for Tom's sake, see if he goes on to be a massive success and potentially moves to Celtic Rangers or moves down south and becomes a real star for Scotland. And if you can attribute some form of it back to them, then it maybe is worth it in itself. But I asked Xander, in terms of Saturday, is it a must win and avoiding relegation? Even with the games in hand, do you have to go and win this game? So this is what I had to say.
Looking ahead towards Berwick and Saturday, I don't like the term sort of a must win. You know, we go into every game, especially myself and my teams and my staff, and believe that we can win any game of football that we play. But again, on the grand scheme of things, I think if you look at the league table, I think a result would go a long way to boosting our position in the league. And also the fact that, you know, Berwick have got their own agenda also. So I think Saturday's game makes for a great occasion. And hopefully by 5 o'clock that we're the team that's got the 3 points and at the top of a great week if we manage to get 7 points out of 9. So looking forward to it. And again, the team are in a good place at this present moment. And we just need to go and finish the week off, and with that, hopefully it's 3 points.
I think the 3 points. I actually feel like that's a question I ask a lot, particularly, and I think it falls into this stage of the season when you're asking that question, where I think, in a sense, he has said it's a must-win. Because he says, I hate to say these things are must-wins, but
they are.
Aye, but that is a must-win, and that's what he's going to be telling his team. It's not the end of the world if they lose, because they still have a few games to be able to pick up the points. But
you'd ask me that, or you wouldn't have never in
no, you would
must win before.
No, never, ever. But look, I think that it is definitely must win is a really strong one, but it's a win is very, very important.
It's so tight down the bottom of that league.
In terms of what happens. But we're going to move on to the West of Scotland League now. Clydebank and Hurlford, we've touched on a wee bit there, but we're going to go more into detail with it. You kind of said it, Fez, at the top of the show when we were talking about it, was Clydebank is counting down the games.
Yeah.
Now, I've said to him off a couple of times, and I've said to like guys when I've spoken to them and stuff, and they will never ever say it. But I almost can see no way that they can't win the league. Like, you're looking at Troon sitting, well, say Johnson Borough win their game in hand, then it goes back to 10 points with 11 games to go. I still think that Johnson Borough have maybe a game or two that they'll drop points. Clydebank might be able to lose 5 games and still win the league in 11 games. And for me, I just don't see them being a team. I think they could lose. Like, they could lose a game or two. I think that's very possible.
Yeah.
I just don't see them dropping points in 5 or 6 games.
I think you'll be lucky. I think potentially they go unbeaten this. I think if you just keep their heads down, keep going with the way they're going, not focusing too much, as you're saying, Matt, Fez, you'll know yourself. You're not telling the players we're counting the games down, we're there. So it's just keep doing what you're doing.
I think you might be.
Fall in place.
No, I think you might be. I think within the 4 walls, you might be looking at targets and saying, you know, we're X amount of games away. You know, I think sometimes at the start of a season, you maybe don't talk to that, but when you're getting into this point where, you know, almost
nobody players are thinking about it.
No, and there's no way it's not being talked about, because you know that they're going to be big markers they've hit. You know, they've played St. Cad, they played us a few weeks ago, and they played Johnston Borough, and I think in both of those games for them not to lose them, will be huge for them.
Yeah.
And I think in between the four walls of the dressing room, I think they'll be saying, look, we win this one, but they'll be setting smaller markers to say
every week, chalking it off
to get to that number where they clinch it. So
in terms of Hurlford, so I think that last week with them getting the draw was probably it's not the worst, but if they could have beaten Gartcairn and give themselves a bit of daylight, then that would have gone a long way for them. Because you're looking at it, Darvel are now at the position where they're picking up some points. They are only 5 points behind, but they have a couple of games in hand. Gartcairn, who for me are, if they don't win a couple of games in the next couple of games, they're in trouble, real trouble.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
But Shotts as well. Shotts are picking up points, so that's where Hurlford need to be cautious with. I appreciate Ben Bevan, they're picking up a lot of points right now, and Cumnock are in a bit of a slump as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there is teams there who are picking up points, and they need to be very cautious of that and what that means for them. And guys, what do you think? How do you think that the Hurlford players will be looking at this one?
I think the Hurlford players will be looking at this with a bit of confidence.
Do you think a free hit maybe?
There is an element of that. I mean, where they're sitting in the league, it's not an ideal position, right? They've not conceded a lot of goals, which is good this season, but they're not scoring a lot of goals either. So no, I think they've got a chance. Yeah,
certainly don't think you count out Hurlford.
No, definitely.
I think even right up until the end, the job that Darren's done there over the years, I think that the experience, and even I know you're saying an aging squad and stuff like that, that at some point could come in handy in terms of getting over the line. And it's so tight. I think, as you say, if you come down the way, it's really, really tight. And there's some good clubs down there and some good people down there, and I think there's going to be three of them come the end of the season. I think it'll be sad to see three of the teams go because they're
and I think it's too hard to call because, like I'm saying, Cumnock are having a bad spell, and they're maybe similar to Gartcairn in the sense we say, but that squad should be good enough, but it's not really been quite good enough. Hurlford,
I mean, I think the 15 points for Gartcairn's made
huge. They're not in the equation,
but not even to the table. I think when you take that out of a dressing room and out of a club, I think you underestimate the effect that can have on.
That was something that we spoke about last week, and I asked the question of the guys: is it a mentality thing? So for you, as a manager, I personally think that there's obviously other circumstances, but I think that mentality plays a huge part in that because you look at when there wasn't that real pressure on them at the start of the season, they were top 6, top 7, reasonable place for where their squad should be in a reasonable season. Then you have the 15 points, which is hellish for any club.
Yeah.
But they've hardly won games since then. And it must be some form of mentality where it's just the pressure's got to them.
It's tough though, because a lot of time for Mick. And I think when you're the manager there and you're focusing on football and then something like that that's out of your control and it's non-pitch related. I think you underestimate how much that can have effect on the players and the staff in there. That really does take the wind out of you.
It's interesting because Johnny was saying this a couple of weeks ago. At the start of the season, they've recruited and got the players in to be competing for that league.
Yeah.
Would you got the same players to be playing in that position in the league?
That's a good point. It's a good point.
And that was an interesting one for me. It kind of bit of an eye. Are they the same players that are going to give you the same?
I think they're good players. That way, I think if you had the option of getting good players in the door and to keep you up, I don't think there's any of them that
they're not capable.
Yeah, they're not capable. I think there has been circumstances that has dictated a difficult position for them. Yeah. And I think going into this last period, they're going to have to really fight to stay up. But I think that's a really unique scenario where you're at one end of the table 1 minute,
and then boom,
and overnight on a Friday night, you're in your whole mindset shifts, and the whole club is kind of thrown upside down a bit in terms of what your goals are and what your collective objectives are. And I think that's really tough for Mick and even the committee guys at Gartcairn and the players. Let's not forget that a lot of the time football's confidence.
At that stage, they still might have been thinking a couple of good results for us. If we go and beat Clydebank at Wither, we could maybe look at still having a chance of doing something. Whereas that disappears, like you said, the Friday night is there, the Saturday morning it's
It's
gone,
gone.
and you know you can't catch them.
And I know we spoke about this before, PJ. I think when Clydebank started as well as they did, I think the rest of the teams were really looking at that second to fifth,
Mhm.
and everybody was trying to finish as that and be as close to Clydebank and compete with. I'm not saying nobody thinks they can compete with Clydebank, far from it, but I think for us, or a Gartcairn or a Johnston Borough or a Troon, everybody's kind of been looking at being the best out, because I think it's Clydebank have shown early doors that they were going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So I think when Gartcairn are in the mix and in, 1 minute they're sixth, the next they go to third, and they're fighting for those that second to sixth.
Yeah.
I think it's really difficult to shift your mindset and be in that
And that
position.
also allows you, for talking's sake, say this doesn't happen, right? And Gartcairn are fighting for that 2 to 6 spot.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that in terms of, I assume financially it makes almost no difference in terms of what you get for the league. Does it? Do you?
I have no idea. I don't think there's any financial
I didn't think
benefits to where you finish.
I didn't think so. But in terms of, see if you're trying to recruit and you're sitting second in the league and you say to a potential player for next season, you're saying, look, this is where we are. We are Clydebank have had a freak season. They've gone next season, and we are the second place team who we're really looking to go and push. But when you're sitting 15th, and guys are going, well, Nick, I don't know where you're going to finish, so I don't really know.
Yeah, no, it is, because even from experience in the last couple of months, we went to Clydebank, we got what we thought was a decent point there. Kept us in about that area, and
Probably one
that
of the best
top
games
four.
I've seen this season.
It was a great game. It was an absolutely brilliant game, and for it's weird because there wasn't a lot of chances in the game. There was opportunities.
So I was at the Clydebank game. I said to PG that time, that's probably the best game of football played this season.
But I think from experience, when you go there and you take a good point and you're looking at Clydebank, you're thinking, look, we can, if we can keep going where we're going, we can. You're relying on them to drop points, right?
You put a bit of pressure on them.
You put a bit of pressure, but I think you'd be lying if you said you're not looking at it going, we had a good season last year. We are looking to have another solid season, and you continue to recruit. You continue to say, well, this is what we did here. This is what we've now done the next year. You assume Clydebank maybe are going to get promoted because they're a licensed club, and then you start to do recruiting. You start to look at things, and you start to look ahead to the following year. And I think that applies to a Gartcairn as well. Where they're in a position in their first season, they won the first division, they then come into the Premier. They have a solid enough season in the Premier. They're trying to build, and then all of a sudden, because of an admin situation, it kills 2 seasons of work.
I think it's really important. You touch on the point you go against Clydebank, which was obviously a good point. But something I would say on Clydebank, and I'm going to touch on it with Moff, with his interview, we're talking about how they've only conceded 11 goals in 19 games, which is so impressive. I think at this level, and I've mentioned it many times, at this level, if you concede a goal a game or less, you're always going to be in with a chance. But they drew yourselves at St Cadoc's and then with Johnston Borough, got another draw. And what I think is really important, that the difference I think for Clydebank is they're dropping the points in terms of draws, so they're not losing any ground on the teams beside them. So they're not dropping points to Pollock a couple of weeks ago when they played them, when that gives Johnston Borough, Troon, St Cadoc's, Talbot they drop points for one of the day, so it's too closer. Nobody's getting any closer to them.
No. So we looked at the start of the season, we looked at the last few years of the West, and I think I spoke to you about this, Paul, after or before the Clydebank game. 60 points has thereabouts won it, which is 2 points per game. So forgetting about talking about winning leagues and anything like that, our aim was to try and get as close to 2 points per game as we possibly could. We were 6 points behind that last year. We finished in 54, and we thought, right, okay, we set the same target last year. Not setting targets anything other than a points total, and going, right, this is what we want to work to. Before the Clydebank game was the first time we got to that 2 points per game going into it. So from my point of view, people might be questioned, going, right, that's a good. We weren't really looking any further ahead than our own goals and trying to be where we wanted to be, try and build on year one. And I think if you look at converse like that, if you look at Clydebank and saying 2 points per game has won this league the last 2 years, they're playing 19 games, they're miles ahead of 2 points per game. B finished bang on 60 last year. The year before it was 64, I think, or 66.
Clydebank only need 1 point per game for the remaining 11 games together, and that
shows what a job they've done and how good Clydebank have been.
So look, I've asked Moff about the fact that they have only been conceding. They've conceded 1 goal in the last 5, right? And I think defensively they've been so sound. In terms of goal scoring, they've been pretty solid. But in terms of a team who haven't lost in nearly 20 games. I would expect slightly higher, but I think the fact that the defensive record has been so sound that's playing a big part in it.
To only have conceded 11 goals.
No, exactly. So here's what Moff had to say on conceding 1 goal in the last 5 games.
I think in terms of our goals against, Colin, Paul, it's something that since I've been coaching, it's always something I take a real pride in. I think at my previous clubs, the 2 seasons we had rising through the leagues, we had the both best defence in the league in both of those, and it's something I've obviously tried to take on. And at this level, obviously it takes a wee bit more time. But I think even when we look at last season, we had the best defence in the league right up until the final day, and we lost out with the 2 goals we lost in the final day. Auchinleck ended up slightly better than us, but we still ended up second best defence in the league. So it is, to answer the question, it's something we take a real pride in. It's something I believe you build a foundation, a good team on that, and I think probably the additions we made right down the spine of the team have helped us this year to sort of create that situation where we can keep the goals against as a minimum. And then I think when we've got the attacking players that we do at the other end of the pitch, that gives us, when you put that combination together, that gives us a chance to win some games of football. So it's a long way to go for us, but it's obviously been really good so far.
I think obviously that's something they maybe pride themselves on, because in last season they were one of the best defensively as well. And I won't lie, see, it makes it seem very negative. In my time coaching, I've always been very big on being defensively good.
Yep.
I like high press game, but I always think if you don't defend properly, then
solid base.
It's really difficult. And I think that is it's got to be a huge impact on the fact that they're sitting well or sitting.
Absolutely. They're such a hard team to break down, and I think Simon's been a huge signing for them. And especially, Matt Niven's missed a lot of football this year. And as a mainstay in that Clydebank team and a top player at this level. So, for them to go and bring Simon in, it's made a big difference to them. And Andy Leishman as well.
I was going to say that,
they've chopped and changed goalies a wee bit in the last couple of years. Kieran Hughes went in there last year, and then I think he picked up some injuries. And is it Jamie Donnelly that was there? And then and they kind of chopped and changed a wee bit. So I think for them to sign a centre, I think that's the big thing Clydebank have done this year. They've not made tons of signings, but they've made signings that went right into their team and improved them. Dean Cairns,
through the core, core of the team.
And Andy Leishman have been top signings. Even Keir Sampson as well. Keir came in a wee bit later. He came in 4 or 5 games into the season when we played Clydebank, and has provided, real good options for Moff up the top end of the pitch. Very different options. Mokaki, everything, his ability there, how strong he is, and Nicky Little playing behind that. And then Keir to come on and really stretch games. And
you look at Nicky with over 20 goals a season, pretty much every season, and I think that he goes down as I look back to my time playing, and I talk about the guys who were finishing just when I was a young guy. You'd like Brian Dingwall, you had Downs, you had all the kind of guys who, even like Stevie Mallon at Talbot and stuff. I remember looking at those guys and thinking, that's they're legends at junior level. That's just what I remember growing up and playing through. Unfortunately, I played against them all at the end of their time. Nicky Little is that for now. He's a junior / West of Scotland legend. The amount of goals he's scored, and important goals, it's just so invaluable. I've asked Moff what type of challenge that they expect. Like we touched on at the top of the show, playing a team who at the end of the season are relegation candidates becomes a different challenge, because it's so tough, because they need to win just as much as you need to win. Their survival depends on it just as much as yours. So here is what Moff had to say on that.
Yeah, I think with Hurlford, in terms of what to expect, it'll be what I always expect against Hurlford, which is always a really tough game. I've spoke about it on many things. I've got a really good relationship with Dan Henderson. I would say we're fairly tight, and we speak about football quite a lot, and so much respect for what he's done at this level and what he's achieved and the things he's won. So I know the way he likes to set his teams up, and the way he does set them up is to always be very resilient out of possession, but they always carry a real threat in possession. So it's always a tough game. You know, I don't think I've ever played a Darren Henderson team and felt that we came through comfortable. They always make it very uncomfortable for you, even if you get the victory. So, listen, it's going to be a hard game, but I think, as I always say, you know, I want to focus on us. You know, I want to focus on what we can do, and hopefully we can pose them a threat as well. And you know, particularly at home, we've been doing that to teams. So, yeah, we'll need to be aware of the threats. We've got some real experience and some real quality when we've not got the ball. But as I said, hopefully we can pose a threat to them as well and try our best to get another 3 points.
He touches on their experience, and like I said, I've been quite vocal on the fact that I think that the age of their squad has caused them issues, and it is quite a small squad. Hendo pretty much always runs on a small squad because he can squeeze his budget a bit further if he works with a smaller squad. But like you said, Fez, I think that experience at this stage might be a positive instead of a negative in terms of age, and it's something, guys, that I think that they need to lean on as the guys who have been Scottish Cup finalists multiple times, played top half of the league for most of the Hurlford's last 5-10 years or whatever, and that's something that's so important for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know from Fez's point of view. I mean, I think you have those guys with that calmness that have been there and done that. I think that's what's going to rub off and the players run about them. So that experience is, as we said earlier, it's invaluable. So yeah,
he did. I think the job that he's done over a long period of time is just quite incredible. It was my first game, was Hurlford at New Tinto, and they beat us 3-1, and it was more than convincing. I remember going home that night going,
they were,
because I remember people saying, "Oh, they're not a bad side, you know, they're always competitive, they're always there, you know," and they were miles better than us in the first day of the season. I remember thinking,
"This is the level, maybe.
This is it." It was a great feeling. It was an exciting,
because you know you're working towards then. You get something to aim at. But
but no, Darren's even again, we went down there at the end of the season where we were on quite a good run, and they beat us 2-1, I think, down there. Such a tough team, and it's one of those teams. Example, if you put them, in my opinion, you put them in the Lone League,
they would compete.
They would compete,
definitely. I think that they do have guys that have got a lot of quality, can really hurt, and particularly if they catch you on a day where they're on it, then they can beat anybody in the league. I genuinely believe that they are such a good side that way. But we're going to go another short break. So if you want to get us on WhatsApp, it's 07396 717 412. That's 07396 717 412. Or you can get us on Sat Football Live. Any questions for the guys or any comments you want to make, don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and we'll be right back after these. Get us on WhatsApp at 073 96 717 412. That's 073 96 717 412, or you can get us on Instagram and X at SackFootballLive. Or if you want to fire any comments on to guys, that's a fine.
That's another fine. That's my second one trying to log into
Guys,
YouTube.
that's another fine. If you want to get us on YouTube, then you just fire a comment into the comment section, and we're more than happy to answer anything you want to talk about. So we'll move on to Irvine Meadow and Vale of Clyde. Quite an interesting one. The Meadow, as we've touched on at the top of the show, with how much a good job that Jamie McKim's done since he's got in there. He's been nothing short of. It's been excellent, to be honest. It's been fantastic how they've been.
I listened to him on the podcast with
Paul. It was good. It was good with Paul the other night.
Really
That's.
I couldn't listen to him. I'm sick of talking to him.
So well, if you're talking to him, which one is that, Paul or Jamie?
Jamie.
If you're talking to Jamie quite a lot, what's he been saying about how his time's been there so far?
Jamie will play it down in terms of getting in there and turning the fortunes around quite quickly.
Yeah.
When I spoke to him when he first took the job, quite excited by the club and the facilities and what maybe attracted him to the job, because he'd been out a wee while, Jamie. You know, and he was one of these guys that you see him at every game.
Again, yeah.
You know, like that's how I got to know Jamie, just through, you know, I used to deal with him when I was at East Kilbride's under 20s, and Johnston Borough were in a totally different position in terms of where they were, and I got to know him through loaning a young player from East Kilbride's under 20s to Johnston Borough, and just since then, you know, it's a guy who really does his work in terms of.
I've heard that he's very detailed in his work, but I forgot to mention then all the excitement of guys getting his fine and being on the phone there. We have had kick-offs in our 2 o'clock matches. Obviously, the Lowland League doesn't start until 3, but in our featured fixture, we've got a massive goal. Forth have taken the lead against Muirkirk early on. So that is a huge one there.
Best time to concede early.
Well, exactly. You've got plenty of time to get it back.
I think that happened in the demolition final. I think we 4th up.
No, we went 1-0 up. Then they brought it back to 1 each. Then we went 2-1 up. Then they brought it back.
That was a
maybe 2 goals were unbelievable.
I mean, you
absolute world
any final, by the way.
Again, Kyle Cake. I had Kyle at East Kilbride when he was 17, and he scored 2 of the best goals I've ever seen. I said to him after the game, I said, "Don't remember you doing that, but he's playing on 19s. Any chance
for somebody else?"
Sadly for them, it ended quite poorly in the day. I don't imagine that it will be 8-0 or 8-2. Sorry, in Muirkirk today. We've also got another goal in one of our feature fixtures. This time in the Premier League, 1-0 at Clydebank. 2 minutes in, right?
It's a strong start.
Is it Mulcahy or Mulcahy? How do it? Because I always get this wrong.
I always say Mulcahy.
Mulcahy.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether I'm right or wrong,
I don't know, right? No. But Stevie Duggins just gave us a wee update for that, so cheers for that, Stevie. It is 1-0 to Clydebank. After everything we've spoken about at the kind of through the show, it's such a hard one because Clydebank, as we touched on, don't lose goals, and now they're 1-0 up. So Hurlford are really struggling. We've got a question to ask Martin from Keenan. Fire it up. Where can we get the quarter zip? # looking sharp. Is that a wee Arnie number?
It's actually not a quarter zip, it's a full zip.
A full zip, sorry. Is that a wee Zara number?
It's a wee Arnie number.
I knew it would be something like that.
Yeah. Where's that question from?
That was from Kieran Duncan.
Yeah, thought so.
I appreciate that you've got all your mates messaging in.
None of these guys have ever watched a West of Scotland game in their life, by the way.
Well, it's great. I appreciate it. Maybe we could convert them.
Yeah.
I mean,
2 years in St. Carrick's, none of them came to 1 game, so
I'm
surprised they're tuned in.
Maybe we can
convert them.
Maybe we can get them involved. Kieran, tell us who your team is now. Obviously, it's not St. Carrick's, or is it now St. Carrick's because you're not there? So on the Meda game, back to the real business.
Yeah.
The Meda, who I think they've lost 1 game in 90 minutes since Jamie went in, so that's 9 games, something like that. It's been so impressive, and even the game against the Borough last week, going to penalties. From what I heard, basically the Borough had very few chances, very limited chances, and that in itself is probably really encouraging for Jamie and for his players, where they're clearly growing in confidence. But Villa Clyde are they're a mixed bag, winning 5, drawing 9 and losing 7 in 21 games. It's just a bit too inconsistent, because you look at, they had the great result against Villa, against Mabel a couple of weeks ago, where they go and win 4-0, and you're thinking, is that going to be enough to maybe just edge them to safety?
Yeah.
But then you go and lose to Petershill in the derby, which no shame in losing 1-0 to Petershill, but it's a game they don't want to be losing. Guys, how do you, obviously we've gone for Meda, but how do you see it playing out? Do you think that the Meda go and stretch it and get a couple of goals early on and give us a bit of lead, or do you think it'll be quite a tight affair?
I think it'll be a tight game. I think John at Villa Clyde has his teams set up in a way that there's not many easy games against them. I think it's two teams in and about each other in that league table, and neither will want to lose. So I think it will be a tight game. But as you say, I think the job that Jamie's done since he went in there has been really strong. He's getting close to pulling them out of that bottom 3, which ultimately, and when you take that job at that point, that's your goal. You know, as you touched on last week, it's a brilliant result, albeit, you know, Johnstone Borough keep winning games. You know, I know a lot of people talked last week and say there wasn't a lot of chances, and Johnstone Borough are in a position. Murty's done a great job there.
Where 17.
Yeah, where they.
I mean, that's incredible.
And I heard a stat through the week that the percentage of goals being scored by guys coming on off the bench is incredibly high.
So Murdy either gets it wrong all the time to start with,
and not at all,
or he gets it right.
He's a master.
The game is played in 90 minutes now. 5 subs.
Game changers.
We've got a goal in the first division, quite an important goal. Mabel have taken the lead against Blantyre. Victoria, Blantyre, we know they're gone, but for Mabel, that is a really important goal. We're just talking about how Irvine Meadow need to try and keep themselves, or get themselves into safety, how Villa Clyde need to try and keep themselves safe. If Mabel can win this today, that puts them on to 28 points, and if Irvine Meadow lose today, that's 8 points clear from safety, and could be really important. Even though we're talking about how well Jamie's teams has been doing, when you get into 8, 9, 10 point gaps on some teams, it becomes very difficult. So it's a big goal for Mabel there. But sorry, I interrupted.
No, we were. I was just about to say about Johnstone Borough winning the amount of games they're winning, and I was having a bit of laughs, a bit of poetic justice, because Jamie put me out in penalties at the same stage last year at Kinney Park.
Oh, I was there.
I said to him, it was a
horrible day. It was a horrible conditions that day, was it not?
It was. To be fair, the game had been called off. It was either once or twice before it, and Jamie phoned me on the morning before the game, and he said, "As the game's on, but the pitch is."
Listen, both teams are playing on it.
I said, "No problem. Just let us know how it goes then." That's not my cup of tea. But no, we were 2-0 up in that game, and then you know it's funny. Jamie done the old-fashioned, put the goalie down injured at 2-0 down, and I remember thinking at the time that's not going to help them. But at half time it was 2 each, and it did. They turned the game around, and Kieran Brophy that day single-handedly dragged them back in.
There's rumours that Kieran potentially going to the Meda, so that would be a wee reunion there.
Yeah.
Another big goal in the relegation battle in the first division. Rob Roy have taken the lead in 5 minutes against Petershill, which could have impact on the top half of that table as well, with Petershill trying to keep themselves in the promotion hunt, only being in 4th spot at the moment. So that was Bowman with a goal for Rob Roy, a really important one there. I actually spoke to Jamie about the Borough game last week, just to get his thoughts on it and see if there was a bit of confidence taken from the fact that before that match, the Borough had lost 1-16, sitting second in the league at the time before Troon got their win last week, and really picking up a lot of momentum. So to push them so close, I've asked Jamie how he felt with that result and what it could mean for today's game. What you had to say about it?
Yeah. Recent form gives us that platform to go into the game with real confidence. What I will say though, I think when you go to teams like Johnstone Borough, like when we played Pork earlier on, when you go and play against these big teams and the ones in the division above, it kind of takes the pressure off the players, and I think it's easier to perform nowadays. It's easier to get up for it, be motivated, but the reality is, like the Villa Clyde game, the Rob Roy game, the Blantyre game, stuff like that. That's your cup finals. Like that's the real big games for us, because our consistency over the season hasn't been good enough, which has meant we are where we are at the moment. And we need to get out of that situation as quickly as we can. So the players deserve all the credit for the performance last week. I know we matched them for the whole game, but I felt we more than matched them. We bettered them at times, and as I said, I think they're incredibly fortunate to get into the next round on penalties. But that's done now. It's parked. We move on, and as I said, this game against Villa Clyde for me is huge. So it's really important that we go in and we give it the same application, same attitude, and we take the game to them for the start.
Well, just as Jamie was speaking to our audience there, they've gone 1-0 up against Villa Clyde. So a Davy Anderson penalty puts them 1-0 up, which I think how interesting this makes the relegation zone. Rob Roy are winning, Mabel are winning, Irvine Meadow are winning. Obviously, Villa Clyde are losing, Blantyre are losing. It makes it really interesting. I think Rob Roy and Med are two teams for me that you would have said a couple of years ago there's no way that we could be looking at those two teams potentially playing in the second division due to circumstances and how things have been. I appreciate like with Rob Roy, Gibby's had to come in and pretty much rebuild the team, and but he's shown that he's a very experienced manager at his time at Blantyre, and I think he's got enough to keep them up. But it doesn't help them that the Meda are in such fine form as well. So it's so interesting at that bottom end of the table.
And we've talked about this first division for weeks now. This is undoubtedly the best league in world football for who can potentially go up.
That's a big shout, guys.
No, but I mean, we were joking about it last couple of weeks ago, but
certainly one of the most competitive.
The most competitive. I mean, you look at the top, between the top and 9, 11 potentially. I mean, it's phenomenal. But the bottom half of that, the bottom end of that table, surprised to see Kirky there. I think they've got enough to stay up. But what Jamie's doing at Meda will just will not be helping them at all.
Totally. And some big clubs with big fan bases.
Oh, yeah, massive. I mean,
massive. Like Irvine Meadow, Rob Roy, even Arthurlie. Arthurlie haven't come down this year. I think the job that the guys at Rutherglen have done has been brilliant. I know they've had, I know Billy will be really, really well. He's somebody I speak to once or twice a week, and I have done over the last 10 years. He was the first manager I ever worked with. And I think the job that him and Joe Price have done there to have them competing at the right end of the table. And I know the results have been patchy over the last few period of time, but I think for them even to still be in that position shows how good a job they've done. And again, the job that Jimmy's done at Renfrew, where he always has them there or thereabouts, gets them promoted out to second. It's such a competitive league. And then you look at Cowan sitting top. There's another massive club.
I know.
Sitting in that first division.
I love this first division.
Well, we've got a couple of goals and featured fixtures. Irvine Vicks have taken the lead against Perthshire. Stephen Gaffney with a goal there.
Score draw I had. So
scored 2-2. Was it?
That was the first one.
Well, a very interesting goal in the fourth Muirkirk game. Both are now 2-0 up.
2-0.
So I've spoken. We'll hear from Ross Cusick.
Did you take Muirkirk as well?
I did, yes.
So that cancels all 3 years.
Of course I did. I've spoken to Ross, and we'll hear to Ross. We've still got a wee bit to hear from Jamie.
Early payout and 2-0, no.
No. So for me, that's an interesting one in that division because Muirkirk, we have praised them so highly with how young the squad is and how well they've done. And they've only lost 2 in 18, and they've beaten Pollock in the cup. They had a decent result of 2-0 against the Talbot. Despite losing, I'd say that's a fairly good result considering the Talbot, as you experienced recently yourself, are really right in form just now, and particularly with the fact that you've got Kel McAvoy and Conor Boyd scoring so many goals, that was a decent result. But I wonder if being a young side, that kind of level of intensity and pressure might get a bit much, because Muirkirk have never been higher than this league. So if they get promoted from this level, then you look at Ross and his players and say, it's the greatest Muirkirk team they've ever had. And I understand in relative terms that seems a ridiculous comment.
Still a massive achievement.
But that's what it is. They are arguably the best Muirkirk team I've ever had.
Where that team's came from is absolutely amazing. I was talking to Ross last week, and to take some of the boys right through Giffney North,
all the way,
then all the way up to here. Defensively this season, I mean, even against St Anne's,
I tell you what, I'll cut you off, right, because we're going to. You can tell us that when we come to them in a few minutes. We'll quickly jump back on to the final part of Jamie's interview. He touched on it with how important these games are, the cup finals, being against your Rob Roy's, your Baylor Clydes. The next 3 games, including today, Baylor Clyde, Rob Roy, Blantyre. Now, this could be title deciding games for them
Mm-hmm.
because if you lose the 3 of them, I think you're gone. You win the 3 of them, and you're in a position of real strength. So I've asked Jamie about that, and here's what he said on the games.
Well, next 8 games are huge. There's no doubt about it. But what I would say is we obviously have the 12 games left. We have plenty of opportunity to get points on the board, but I do not want that to be something that we can say, oh, it doesn't matter, well, if we've not done it this week, we'll do it next week, and keep putting it off and putting it off. We need to get as many points on the board as we can. And I think psychologically, if you can get out of that bottom 3 on Saturday, and then we can start climbing quickly, it builds confidence, it breeds confidence throughout the squad, and it lets us try and put a strong run together towards the end of the year. And I think that's, at the moment, I've obviously been in from the start of January, and also looking to, as much as I'm looking to have a strong end to the season, I'm also looking ahead to next year. And I'm looking at the squad I've got now and hoping that people want to be there next year, obviously in the same division, and I'm hoping I'm going to get performances that say to me, well, come and give me an extension or keep me here, because it's a big club that the guys are at, so I don't imagine too many would want to move on, but I'm hoping that bodes well for us in terms of big performances.
He said a bit there about extensions and staying there, and I think that is very dependent on. I know, speaking to Jamie, he told me that the club haven't said to him you have to stay up, but he told the club that they have to stay up. So I think that is, in his eyes, I don't know if Jamie would stay if they didn't stay up, but that's how important these games are, and that's how important that is to him, that they go and get it, and he maybe earns the right to keep the job that he's in.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so. If he can battle away and keep that job, I think he would stand him in good stead for next season. He can start rebuilding and really making them a force again. So I don't think they should be sitting there. Kirky, Rob Roy, big teams, as we said, down the bottom of that league. So if Jamie can keep them up and stay there next season, I think he would do a great job next season.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of synergy between the job that he's maybe taken in his previous job, in terms of, Johnstone Borough being a historic junior club, and Irvine Meadow the same, club with a lot of history, club with good support base, club with the good facilities.
Of course they do.
And I think
good fan base.
I think Jamie was out for just over a year and probably didn't jump in at the first opportunity for him. I think he wanted to wait for the right opportunity, and it seemed like Irvine Meadow was a good fit, and delighted to see him do well and hopefully start to really pull them away. And I know Jamie, and he'll never admit to you, but he'll be looking at next season and looking to want to compete up the other end of that table. So,
well, that's right. I spoke to him during the week, and
you deny it.
I don't. He maybe deny it, but I'll tell you, that's what his aims are. The fact that if they can stay in the league, and they want to go and try and push on after that. And see, to be honest, like everything you've touched on there with the fan base, the size of the club, they definitely are a team who should be up challenging. And I don't think that 2 or 3 players added into that squad, and next year they could potentially, if they stay in the league, they could be a team who are good enough, because you look at the top of the table, Kilwinning are 5 points clear now, which is getting really impressive, the fact that they've opened a bit of a gap. But they've only won 12 games out of 21. And in most divisions, that's not enough to have you 5 points clear at the top of the league with 9 games left. I mean, you look at Renfrew, Glencairn, Petershill, St Roch, all won half or less than half of their games, and all still in the hunt to get promoted or win the league. And I think that shows just how tight it is at the top end of that table. So you're maybe looking at not needing a mental amount of change in your team to be able just to push up.
Small element might just be enough just to push on that bit.
Irvine Meadow are sitting bottom in the relegation zone and have won 4 games less than Renfrew, who are sitting third, and they have 2 games in hand. So they win today.
You know
what I mean? That's the difference. You could be looking at only a couple of games less won. Another goal in the Clydebank game, and I'm going to hang my hat on it and say the game is over. It's 2-0. Jimmy Grant with a goal for Clydebank. I do not see Clydebank losing 2 or 3 goals, and I think that they'll go and score some more. So that's a massive one for them. We'll move on to the second division. We're touching on Muirkirk in 4th game as our featured fixture. Muirkirk, Martin, you've worked with a lot of younger players coming through in your time at management. What differences do you see in having experienced players who might not be as fit or might not play with quite as much freedom sometimes as younger players? What differences do you see in having a young team and a more experienced team?
I think it just depends the environment that you're playing in or working in, or what your expectations are in terms of what are you trying to get promoted, are you trying to stay up. So I think every situation is slightly different. We actually, when I was at Scrubbrides under-20s, we played Ross's Benburb under-20s team. It was a brilliant game. It was two really good 20s teams.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look at the players that played in that game between those two teams, where they've gone on to play, Austin Syme was playing for Benburb that night. He's now playing every minute, every game with Talbot.
Yeah.
Mark McCluskey was playing for East Kilbride's under-20s in that game. He's now become an absolute mainstay in the St Carrots team.
Yeah.
You know, and there's plenty more like that have went on and had good West of Scotland part-time. And they're all still young. They're all still 2021.
Yeah.
You know, some of them could end up playing, you know, maybe in League 2 or League 1 or even further ahead of that. So, yeah, it's really difficult. You know, Ross is taking his team to Muirkirk. They've continued to develop, you know, young guys like William Dawson and boys like that, you know, Aidan McLaughlin. They've continued to get better. They've continued to stay as a unit. You know, and at one point, young players can become experienced.
Yeah,
they might
exactly.
be young, but they've...
And you also have this Muirkirk team who are a young side. A lot of the boys will be 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
But if you're playing 30 games this season, potentially get yourself promoted, even at 21 or 22, that's a real bit of experience for you. You might have
What, to get under your belt?
You might have a 28-year-old or 29-year-old not having. We've got a really important goal in the Premier League. Gartcairn have taken the lead against Beith. So Gartcairn are 1-0 up against Beith, which moves Gartcairn ahead of Hurlford as it stands. Hurlford dropped back into... Benburb are still drawn. So Hurlford are just on the fringes of the relegation zone right now on goal difference. So it's... they really need to turn that around, but that's a massive goal for Gartcairn. Glasgow United have just taken the lead against Threave, which I think is a bit of a shock. You'd expect Threave, who, even though we talk about Threave not being the best travelling, they've had a couple of really good results recently. Glasgow United haven't, and to have Glasgow United 1 up there, that's quite an interesting one. Coolside have taken the lead. They are a team who are really pushing for promotion, are trying to keep themselves in the promotion hunt in the 3rd division, and they have just taken the lead against Glasgow Uni.
I think Drumchapel just got a goal 21 minutes in.
Yep.
Well, an interesting goal in the 3rd division, staying on that as well. Jamie Gray scores against the Thorn. That's 1-0 to Dorai against the Thorn. I still think the Thorn look too far ahead of everybody, but if they lose this today, Greenock win, it's down to 7 points. Greenock with a game in hand could keep a bit of pressure on them, so it's quite interesting.
So it was a penalty for Drumchapel against Troon. Hopkins scores for Drum.
We've not heard the Hoppy scoring much recently. In the 2nd division, Cali Locals after 20 minutes are 2-0 up against Whitlets. So that's Whitlets and Muirkirk both trailing by a couple of goals. Could be a good day for Nielsen potentially. In the 1st division, Renfrew have taken the lead against Ardrossan. That's 1-0 to Renfrew. Stuart Fife with a goal there. For a defender, he scores quite a lot of goals. A big one in our featured fixture in the 4th division. Royal Albert have taken the lead. Gaz, it looks like Bez could have built you a hole there.
Listen, it's early.
It's very early. And we've just had an equaliser in the Rob Roy game. So that is now 1-1 with the Meadow winning. Rob Roy will need to try and get themselves back into the lead there. But back onto the Muirkirk and 4th game. Both 2-0 up. I'm not overly surprised. I appreciate we all picked Muirkirk to win. But I think that 4th, I mean, Fred, how did you view them? You said they were decent when you played against them in the cup final.
Yeah, we done a bit of work on them before the game, had them watched a few times, and we knew that they had individuals that could hurt you. And, you know, I think it showed on the day how much they competed, you know, up until the red card was at 4-2, but there was not much in the game. Young, a similar type of squad to Muirkirk in terms of it being young and hungry guys, and you know sometimes that does mean the inconsistency in terms of results. You know, maybe if 4th are able to keep that core together this time and stay in that league this time next year,
Well, fourth
they'd be building.
have just saved a penalty for Muirkirk.
Have they?
That could be
So
massive.
Muirkirk could have pulled it back. Fourth saved the penalty. Is it going to be their day potentially?
Yeah. And I mean, back to Ross, and we were talking about young players. Ross added some experience this year. He signed Doyle, that had been about, played at the Bends, and a really, really experienced junior player.
Yeah.
And I think that'll have made a big difference to adding a wee bit of experience to a young, hungry side. And
I think he'll get a lot out of the game today. You know, it's a big game. He's going to test the players, see what they're about. So
I think Ross's biggest challenge will be keeping vultures away from his players now.
Yeah.
Because in season 1 they do okay and it flies under the radar. And now if they go and get promoted, it's, you know, though I only know from experience, they're looking to look to recruit and to look to find young players and make them better. But there's certainly a few of them at Muirkirk, and I'm sure Ross will try to just keep them hidden under a rock somewhere until he
it's
gets
a
them
good place
signed
to hide
back
them,
up.
by the way, because that is the last outpost of it. I mean, it's an interesting drive down there, but it's great down there. The people down there are fantastic. You can meet a nicer bunch of people.
And Ross is a great guy as well.
Super.
Ross is
It's the first time I
guy
got
keep
a
touch
chance to
with
speak to
a
him
Well,
last week.
let's hear from Ross. I've asked them about they lost to Nielsen just before Christmas, and they really bounced back after that. They showed that was something that we spoke about that day when they lost to Nielsen. Was did the young players have the character to come back? Because that is quite
No shame
it's
in
quite-
Nielsen either.
but it's quite a big one as well in terms of the two. You going for the league title, did they have enough to pull it back? This is what Ross had to say on how the players have reacted and how he feels that things have been going since that game.
I actually think our form's been really good throughout the season. Obviously, you'll reference the Nielsen game because it's the last game at the end of November. It was the last sort of league game that was lost. But on that day, I don't think there was a lot to be down about. It was a really close encounter. Two really good teams going at it. The only surprise was that it was 0-0 after 88 minutes until Nielsen scored. So I don't think there was any real reaction needed for that day. We just had to continue to do what we're doing, which had served as well. So we've been right back to it and done that. So, all things considered, I'm delighted with the consistency we've shown. You mentioned beating the higher level opposition in the cups. We went to the quarter final of the West Cup. Obviously, we went to Newlands Field. It was due to be a home game, but we switched it to Newlands Field because of the weather. It's a fantastic occasion for the players and for the fans that travelled to go there and get through and have the penalty shootout and win it. I think that's a day that will last long and the memory of everybody connected with the club. And then we had the sort of home game against Mabel in the next round, and we were really good that day. And we won 3-1, and we were lovely winners, which set us up for the game against Talbot, where unfortunately we had a lot to contend with that day in terms of, I think we had 3 boys suspended and one had a family emergency abroad, and we didn't have a bench at all. We wanted a sub goalkeeper on the bench, so that was a wee bit unfortunate. But no, I think they're really special occasions that were brilliant to be part of. But we'll want to just continue now the fine form we've shown for day one almost.
Well, just as Ross finishes up there, Muirkirk, having missed the penalty, have now scored. They've taken a goal back, so it's now 2-1 to 4th against Muirkirk. An interesting one in the Premier League. We're talking about Gartcairn being 1-0 in Beith. Evan Dunn has just equalised for Beith, so it's 1-1. Puts a bit of pressure back on them potentially. Ross, I think he's quite. Every time I've spoken to Ross, he's been very level. He does. Obviously, particularly when people speak to me and it's recorded, you get. I put this to yourself as well. You have to have your
media head on.
Your media head, and you have to have your correct answer and stuff.
You're trying to trip people up.
Unless you're George Wallace at Mabel. George is brilliant. George just calls it how he says. But he's always very level-headed. He doesn't take the highs too high, and the impression I get when he doesn't take the lows too low either, which you know yourself in management, how vitally important that is not to get caught up on either side, because I think that it can have quite an impact on you when you get caught up either way, because ultimately it's just a game. Sometimes at one point it could just be one game, and it really depends on how you respond to it.
Yeah, totally. I think you can. If you get too carried away with your good results, then it'll come back to bite you. But likewise, if you start to overanalyze defeats and you start to have a bad result and you start to tear, things apart and go back to ground zero again, that sometimes causes more bother than it solves. So yeah, you have to be as level as you can. It's also objective. There's no right and wrong.
No.
That way.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones. Everybody's different. Everybody's
Yeah,
a different way. But
looking at it, their own opinions and their own styles.
100%. And I can empathise a lot with what you're saying there, PJ, but Ross, because I like to think I'm a wee bit like that, where I try not to get too worked up about any game, whether it's a win or a draw or defeat, because then ultimately you just got to start focusing on the next one and how you can win that. And you spend a small part of your time looking back at the previous game, but then it's done. You just got to move on. So
Well, it's Isabel, your friend Isabel.
Isabel,
who's doing updates for us
lovely
today.
Isabel. She was so keen to meet you, Paul. So you need to get a wee day down
I'm
there.
going to see if she can come on and she can give us a half-time update.
Fantastic,
'cause
lovely people. Look
she's
after us so well there.
She's always excellent. And that's something as well where slightly going away for football is they're a small community club who there's not much down there. Every time I've ever gone down there is not much down there.
It was just a football part that was
and it's like I think there's something I found in my time playing in Ayrshire is there's a reason why the Ayrshire teams take it so seriously because it's the hub of the community a lot of the time. And
it's the heartbeat of the community.
I mean, how did you find your experience down there last week, guys? I mean, you were saying earlier you were talking to Ross as well. How did you find it?
Absolutely loved it. I mean, the drive down spectacular. When you arrived there, the folks there couldn't be nicer. Looked after us, teas, coffee, sandwiches, the whole shooting match, the full tour. They also had a couple of groundhoppers down for the day. I think his dad, his lad, and his lad were down.
Oh, right,
bit of a mouthful. But yeah, they're really, really nice down there. Ross, it was good for me. It's the first chance I've had to speak to Ross, so it was good to meet him, hear a bit about what he's got to say and his journey. And yeah, he is. He's very, very level-headed. I mean, don't get me wrong. The side of the park, he has shown that passion. He's not a quiet guy at the side of the park, but very level-headed, talking about the game. I love the attitude he's got through the boys. I think that comes out through him, through the boys. That calmness, that quiet confidence, and it was good to see. It was a tough game against St Anne's last week. Also, the two boys know each other. Monty knows Ross quite well. So again, it was good to see Monty. I'd met him a couple of weeks previous before he took over, and the guy's high energy. So
I bumped into Monty during the week, and
I said I think I ended up doing 3 laps of the building when he left our work the other day, putting his coach's kit in. He is like he rubs off on you. Do you know what I mean?
That's 2x Ben Burke under 20s man.
Yeah.
So Monty's went straight in after Ross, and I think done an equally impressive.
Yeah,
job,
I'm going to say both really successful youth teams.
And I think they did cancel each other out to a degree, but Monty's finding his feet, and I'm sure he'll do a great job there as well.
I asked Ross because there's a 6-point gap between themselves and Whitlets, and a 7-point gap between themselves and Nielsen. Now, granted, if Muir Cup win their games in hand, 4 games in hand on Whitlets and 3 on Nielsen, so potentially they could still be looking at going top of the league without having to give up too much ground in terms of playing many midweek games and anything like that. But I did ask him how he felt with the fact, is there any added pressure with the gap kind of starting to create, particularly with them having cup games now they're out the cup, it might benefit them as well. But I've asked him what his thoughts are on that.
I wouldn't say there was any added pressure. I mean, regardless of what division you're in, if you're at the top end of the table and you're right in the mix at this stage of the season, it's exciting and it's good to be part of it. It's great to still have something to aim for and shoot for, and every game matters. That was one of the stranger things for us last year as a group. This is a group that's used to fighting for every league and cup competition going at youth level. So by March last year, I think we got safe, and it was a really strange sort of end to the season. So to be in the mix this year, to be every game means something and have the excitement, it feels kind of normal to us. So listen, we relish that, we look forward to that, and I'm really looking forward to the next run of games and really making sure that we can hopefully try and continue.
I think that Ross would have been happier if he'd given me about 15 different clips, because every time I go to him, Muir Cup score. So that is now 2-2, 4-2, Muir Cup 2. we're talking about added pressure and we're talking about the youngsters, that shows a real character where you're 2-0 down in Forth Park, where, without being disrespectful,
Not an easy place to play.
it is a horrible pitch. It doesn't matter if it's December or July, it's a tough pitch to play on.
Took my first ever St Cadets game down to Forth.
Is that right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
how
that
was
was
it?
well, we took it. It's funny because we took it with East Kilbride the year before.
Mhm.
Our first pre-season game was away
Right.
to Forth, and then at the time, I kept in touch with the manager, and obviously with St Cadets not having, you know, the bends for the first
Yeah.
couple of games of
Mhm.
pre-season,
Yeah.
we had to find some away games, so we picked Forth, and I thought it'll be an eye opener in terms of taking boys from the lower
Yeah.
league, and this is what the juniors is. And
Aye.
it didn't have a desired effect, if I'm being honest. No, it didn't. It didn't.
Why you played me today, Gaffer?
I can't believe.
It's quite an experience. You know, I've just had a comment from Tam Robinson on the YouTube. Sorry, Tam, I don't really feel this was relevant, but more clubs than Tiger Woods. That's me he's talking about. So
I
thanks
think
for
that's maybe been mentioned for
quite a few
Paul.
times. Quite a few times. I actually had my second Mary Hill debut at Forth. They beat us down there. I hit the bar for about
Must have
30
a few
years.
sign-on fees in your time, man.
I tell you what, I must be the only person that's never made any money out of the amount of clubs that I played for.
Property magnet now.
I
Houses he's bought in cash.
Just pretend you didn't part the Porsche
Aye.
outside. Paul, you know.
I couldn't even buy a house in Monopoly right now. So Muirkirk, that's a massive one for them. We're going to move on to our features fixture in the third division, which is Irvine Victoria and Glasgow Perthshire. Irvine Vic's 1-0 up. I think Perthshire, I touched on it. Perthshire, for me, 6 weeks ago we were sitting here saying they're looking good for promotion, and it seems to me that the wheels have really come off. I still think that Wishaw are going. I think that Irvine Vics are probably going, particularly the fact that they're leaving or drawing right now, so that gets them another point, and Glasgow United are winning another couple of points. But Glasgow Perthshire have been a real. I know they don't have.
Kind of mixed bag.
They don't have the money that they had maybe a few years back, and
That's the thing I would say. What they're working with just now, you know, the pitch is good for where they're at. It's not the best place to play. I think they're sitting okay. I think they'll stay safe this year.
Mhm.
I think they've still got a couple of games on. Some of the teams round about them. So if they can get them in the bag and just give themselves a you know, maybe not this week, but the next couple of weeks, if they can get a picture under the belt just and solidify that kind of 8 to 10 spot, I think they'll be all right this season. But hard place
and
to
it ends the drop.
Yeah.
It ends the drop because you look at if they go down and Wishaw go down, they've both had back-to-back relegations, which is quite concerning. And before Wishaw won last week, which was a great result for them, they'd only won something like 7 or 8 games in the last 18 months in the league, which in itself is a very worrying statistic. We've got a couple of big goals coming in, so we've got Kilwinning have taken the lead against Kilburney. That's a really important one. Could end Kilburney's.
I think you're 2-0 up now.
Is it 2-0? Well, 2-0 then it could end Kilburney's promotion hopes that they've managed to go quietly under the radar and pull back. Rob Roy have taken the lead against Petershill, so they're now 2-1 to Rob Roy against Petershill, which is a really important goal there. But Ben Carson taking the Irvine Vics job, and obviously Ben being the Meda, and I know that the Minimus derby is a massive game. I've been to it myself. It's such a great experience to go to that. I don't think that that's the biggest of derbies to go from one to the other, but Ben started his junior career at Irvine Vics, and if they're really struggling, and it's hard to try and see where they're going to pick up enough points to keep themselves in this division.
Yeah, I think last week would have been a blow for them.
Definitely.
I think to go to the Beltane at Wishaw and get beat 4-2
when nobody else is.
Yeah, I think would have been a setback for Ben.
Yeah.
You know, obviously new management team at Wishaw, and they've got that win, and they'll look to try and build off it. I think it is probably too late for them.
Yeah. I think for Irvine Vics, I think Ben just wants to stop the implosion of goals this season.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to get it tight at the back, as you said earlier, you know, get the core of your defence solid, confident, and then work forward for that. 76 goals is a hell of a lot of goals to concede in a season, and just hope we can kind of plug that a bit.
We've got a goal in the Premier League. Thomas Orr has put Cumnock ahead against Pollock. Could be a really important one for them. Pollock, for me, we've said it, I didn't think they would go down.
No.
But I think that last week's result went a long way in making sure that they've guaranteed safety. a big goal in one of our featured fixtures. It is now 1-1 with Irvine Meadow. So Irvine Meadow and Villa Clyde, it's an interesting one. I know. Irvine Meadow and Villa Clyde, so it is now 1-1 in that game. The goal scorer for Rob Roy was Dylan Watt. Dylan Watt seems to be chipping in with a few goals now. I don't know him, but he's looking like a decent player. In terms of relegation in this league in the third division and promotion, I suppose Ardee have taken the lead against Girvan. Girvan, for me, are a funny side. Dean's shown that his side have got quality. They've picked up good points elsewhere, or in cup games they've shown a good account of themselves. But with Villa leaving, getting the draw right now, Glasgow United winning right now, Girvan now drop into the relegation zone, and it's still plenty of football to be played for them. It could be one game could turn that around, but that's not a great one for them as it stands at the moment.
I mean, as I say, with the Glasgow United, they can start putting the pressure on with some games in hand as well, so they really need to be careful that they get a couple of results under their belt over the next couple of weeks. It could be...
Well, Glasgow United just doubled the lead against Steve, so they're now 2-0 up.
You know, they're 19 points. They're going to go into 22 points this after today, which will jump them above Girvan. So, yeah, Girvan really need to be careful over the next couple of weeks.
And Perthshire have just equalised, so it's 1-1 with Perthshire and
I'd love to see that coming.
There we go.
It seems like we could maybe be getting a few results right today. Coolside Rangers have taken the lead against Yoker. That's 1-0 at Coolside. Rob Roy have now gone 3-1 up. Dylan Watt again with a goal. So that's 2 goals for Dylan Watt in quick succession. Benburb, I'm going to assume it's them. It says red card Fraser, dubious. So
yeah,
that's got
Fraser for the Bens.
Yep. So that's the Bens down to 10 men, something they really don't need. In the 4th division, which we'll touch on. Sorry, before I do that, a quick reply by PZ is now 3-2 to Rob Roy.
What a game.
So that's an interesting first half. 38 minutes, 5 goals. In the 4th division, Kello, who are looking to try and get themselves promoted, have just missed a penalty against Giffnock, so it's still 0-0 there. Villa leaving in the 3rd division. We're talking about going from bad to worse for Irvine Vics. Villa leaving have now taken the lead against Lugar, so that extends their lead against Girvan and against Irvine Vics, which is quite worrying for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to put on. Do you know what I was actually going to say? I was going to play, and I'm hoping he listens to this back, right?
Aye, okay.
I was going to say I'm going to play an interview from Ben, but Ben seems to be avoiding my messages. Every time I message him, he never replies to me. So I messaged Johnny because Johnny's mates with him.
Right.
I say, "Have I got the right number for Ben?" And Johnny's like, "Aye." He says you do. Aye. Ben says, "Message me again." And I was like, "I've already messaged him 3 times. I'm not doing it again." So Ben, get your finger out if you're listening. We have no interviews to play for that one. So we're going to move on to the 4th division, to the good guys, Royal Albert, who did reply. They're currently 1-0 up. And they're a team who have they're going to have a big say, despite they're not going to get promoted, I don't think, unless they win every game until the end of the season. But they're a team who are going to have a big say on what happens, I think, in this 4th division, because Knightswood and Port Glasgow both played them. Yeah. Obviously, they beat Knightswood, which is big, which was really, really big, and something that it saved Port Glasgow, because I think if that hadn't happened, the Port were done. So looking at Royal Albert's fixtures, they've got 14 games, including today. So potentially, if they have a great run, then anything can happen. But they've got Easterhouse today, they've got Kello still to play, they've still got Ross Vale, then they've got, apart from Eglinton the last day, Royal Albert have got a run of fixtures that you would say are very, very winnable. I mean, you're looking at Campbelltown, East Kilbride, Saltcoats, New Mains, BSC, that's 5 games in the bounds.
Yeah. And they've only played 16 games. Well, 17 come a day, but
they could potentially shoot up that league. Yeah. But Easterhouse, I've been very vocal on Andy Suter and how good a job he's done for this team, because he came in last season when they were Whitton boys, and he's really turned them into quite a formidable force in this league. And I think that they look like they're running out of gas a wee bit. They lost to West Park, then they draw with Giffnock, and then lose to Knightswood, even though it was a tight one last week. that's not the form you need when they're trying to get promoted.
No, and the other games I thought he would have went on, probably taking points out of there. You know, they all play in the same surface, you know, and I thought they would have got more points out of those last few games. But yeah, I think he's done a great job. Has they went as far as they could go in this league? I don't know. I think he's still got a wee bit more in them. But yeah,
there's not a lot between,
no,
you know, second to fifth in that league. You know, they'll all still feel between,
got a chance.
you know, between Kello to even West Park and Eglinton. They'll still feel that. I know Eglinton are that's 8 points behind us.
Well, Eglinton are 1-1 at the moment.
So there you go. But certainly Josh at Rossvale and the guys at Easterhouse will still feel that they can catch Kello in third place and still get into that top three. So yeah, it's going to be really, really competitive running.
Nah, definitely. Going to play. Conor, asked him about their upturn in their form recently. So here's what he had to say about it.
It was a difficult start to the season. With a relatively good pre-season, but it was a full turnaround in squad. I'd obviously brought over Saturday morning side Les Maego with me when I got the job in the previous season in October time. And between October and pre-season there, about 70% of the squad had been back playing with different Saturday morning sides. That's just what they were used to doing, where it was work commitments, a social life, or football reasonings like Old Firm and whatnot, like going there. So that was fine, but we never really had a lot of time to go and get a squad in. And some of the boys we brought in were coming off the back of some injuries and they needed time to get fit. Some of the boys I moved on quite quick into the season for whatever reason. It just wasn't working out, and we landed a wee bit lucky as well at the same time. We managed to get Chris Jarvian, who's obviously a well-known name in the junior game. He's an experienced striker, and he came in and we got a couple of boys back for injury. We played Kirky Rob Roy in the cup where we were excellent on the day. We didn't deserve to get the cup. And I've got a close relationship with Gibby and the physio Davy there, and he gave me the boy Martin McQuaid, the left winger, on a free transfer. He was a local boy, Stonehouse boy, and he came in and he brought a pal, funny enough, Jack Docherty, who's been phenomenal for me. He's been playing in Stirling Uni the year before, so they two made a difference along with Jarvin. Obviously, it was no secret my connections with Darrell at Lanark. Obviously, we're best pals. We ran the Gow Amateurs for 19 years, having a lot of success. So there's been coming and going. We've signed boys for Lanark, they've signed boys for us, and Kieran Brannan and Scott Nichol became available, which I heard about obviously first hand, and I know the two of them really, really well. They're best pals with my captain, Davy Collins, and we moved quickly to really push the boat out to try and get they two in. And they two just took us to the next level. We've got a lot of young players in the team, but with their experience, their guidance, Kieran Brannan up tops, on his day, I think Kieran could still be playing in the Premier.
Obviously, he's talking about bringing in these players, which Kieran in particular is definitely a great signing for them. But we'll get some half-time scores coming in. So it's 2-0 to Clydebank. We're going to go to Stevie Dugan at Clydebank and see how that game has played out.
Afternoon, guys.
Stevie, how are you? 2-0 to Clydebank. We were talking about how good Clydebank were defensively and the fact that they're very rarely losing goals, only conceded 1 in 5, 2-0 up early doors. Do you think that looks like the game is all but done?
Well, to be honest, they always say 2-0 is a dangerous lead then, which you're come up with that one. But listen, if it was 5 or 6 at half time, those things ended playing recently. Really, Bankies have spawned a number of chances outside of the 2 goals. So I would have preferred to at least another 1 goal there just to put things to bed. But listen, Hurlford really haven't threatened very much. They're really Hurlford are really struggling to defend Bankies' pace and movement going forward. And most of the plays we played in the Hurlford half, to be perfectly honest. And I like to say that the Bankies are a better second half team than they are a first half team. So I look forward to the second half.
Stevie, just as you're saying that they're a better second half team, and obviously you're saying they could have been 5 or 6 up, did you have that feeling that Clydebank can go and will go and score more goals?
I would like to think so. If they can keep up the pace and the aggression they showed in the first half, then I don't see any reason why not. I mean, I remember, for example, you looked at the stats, Nicky Little's stats in terms of when he scores goals, and he has got a habit of scoring sort of towards the latter part of the game, hasn't he? So I'll hold on to that anyway at half time and hope that it comes to fruition. I mean, two good goals, and we've had two lobs that have been over the keeper, landed the top of the net. The keeper pulled out a cracking save for Nicky Little for about 25 yards out as well. So the chances have been there. As long as we keep doing what we're doing and restricting Hurlford to just on the break, that's basically what they've been looking to do is hits on the break. But we've gobbled up anything quite easily, I think, in that respect. So listen, I hope I'm not cursing it, but it's looking good at the moment for us to say this game at least. I know every time I speak to you, Paul, I seem to say that big game coming up. You know, Tuesday night's a big game. We've got Troon here at Home Park. We've not played Troon this season yet. We've started playing them twice. We've started playing up like Talbot twice. So there are some big games coming up. Troon on Tuesday night and away to Beef on Saturday. So the big games keep coming. And as I said before, all we can do is keep playing, keep winning it, and defending as well as you guys that have been saying.
Well, Stevie, thank you very much for the update, mate. If you could keep us updated with the scores as they happen, it'd be greatly appreciated. Cheers, mate.
All right, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Well, to be fair, I knew they'd Troon on Tuesday night. I didn't realise they'd Troon twice and Talbot twice, where that makes it. I still think Clydebank are going to win the league, but I think that does make it a bit more interesting. And actually, on the Talbot, they've got the semi-final today.
Yeah.
And they're still 0-0 at half time against
yeah.
Donnywood. I think Donnywood deserve a lot of credit for how they've been this season.
Absolutely.
But we're going to go to Gary's good friend Isabel at Muirkirk. And we'll see what she's saying. It's still 2-2 there at half time. So we'll see how Isabel's felt the game's gone.
Hi PG, how are you?
Great, Isabel. It's great to finally speak to you in person. How are you?
Yeah, I'm actually just by getting a wee bit of first aid here. Unfortunately, I'm taking photographs of the game and the ball come out to scare me right in my hand. So I've got a couple of paper stitches in it, but I'm good to go.
That does sound like a wee compo claim to me, Isabel.
I'll try my best. I'll try my best.
So on the game, both go 2-0 up pretty quickly, and then you guys are able to pull it back. It's quite a bit of character shown by the boys. How have they reacted to that?
Yeah, as I say, the game started and first punt up the park, fourth straight away scored. So that's you down, Keith's down already. So the guys get mucked in, and it wasn't too long after they went up 2-0. But you know, young guys, they just keep plugging away, and we managed to. We got a penalty. Gerard Burns stepped up to take the penalty, and the keeper saved it. So back again, we're plugging away. The guys, you know, young guys, they keep going. And we managed to get a goal back through getting our new signings, Jamie Kilpatrick. And then just about 10 minutes before half time there, we managed to bring it back to 2 each through James Hazlitt.
Do you guys look like you are the ones that could go and take the lead, or is it still quite a tight game?
I would say it's a very tight game. To be honest, Forth should have had this game out the park because they had chances to score and didn't, and it might just come back to bite them. But to be honest, Forth is a bit of your bogey team, but we're plugging away and we'll plug away. We'll see how it goes in the second half.
Brilliant, Isabel. Thank you very much for the update. It was lovely speaking to you. I'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, okay. Thank you then. Bye.
Quite an interesting one in that game. The fact that they've had the penalty saved, but as Isabel said, Forth have also had a couple of chances. The half-time result in the 4th division, I've just had a message from Josh. So obviously he's really busy with his half-time team talk. He's able to
He's on the phone.
Fine. So they're 4-0 up at half-time against New Mains, which is
the manager a pundit.
Look, I think he's got a wee taste
What
for
hat
it.
did they want to do? Eh?
I'm going to text him.
Because you might get to the stage
Get a phone away at
you might
half
get
time.
to the stage that you don't want to get back into the management game, and then
This is it.
you're sitting there with a coffee with
Listen, well,
the macaron was lovely to be fair that you brought in as well. So you might get to the stage that you realise this is nice.
Unemployed manager now pundit. It's like,
Exactly.
it's a rite of passage. No?
It's definitely a cliche.
Somebody sent me a picture and I said there was coming on. Somebody sent me like a sunburnt picture of Neil Lennon and Go Radio with like a headset hanging off his head. Aye, so I had to make sure I didn't look that bad.
We're going to go to Jordan Orr at Cumnock just now. We're Cumnock are 1-0 up against Port. What's at Newlandsfield?
PJ, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. 1-0 to Cumnock. A really important lead that they've got just now. How's the game played out?
First, I'd like to say I'm really disappointed to say that the pitch at Newlandsfield is absolutely terrible. It's always been somewhere I've really enjoyed coming, and I know players have enjoyed playing on it, but turned up today and I'm absolutely overwhelmed with how bad it is. It's like playing down the beach.
What I'll say on that, Jordan, just to not cut you off there, but what I'll say is it's something I've seen myself. I was at the East Kilbride and Pollock game a couple of months ago, and I don't know what the correct term would be, but I think there's a disease, or the park's got a disease or an infection or something like that, and that's part of the reason why the pitch is where it is.
That could mention something about that. Sorry, then. In terms of the game, it's been pretty even, mate. Pretty even. Chances at both ends. We look pretty dangerous when we get the ball in behind Duncanson and then behind the fullback on the other side. And we've managed to pick up a few free kicks. Good crosses in the box. It's left the corners. We look dangerous for set pieces today. And we look pretty solid defensively in possession as well. And obviously we managed to get a wee goal, and it's the first time in a wee while that we've been in front of the break. So it'll be really interesting to see, how we then go and kind of back that up in the second half. Obviously, Paul shooting back up the hill towards the clubhouse. That's something obviously that they've done for a long time in the second half. So let's see how the home support get behind the Pollock, and obviously for ourselves, let's see how we can respond to being in front of the break for a change.
Brilliant, Jordan. I also work with Lee Duncanson, so I'm going to tell him that it's his fault that they're getting torn apart. But look, mate, thank you very much for the update, Jordan. We'll catch up with you soon, mate.
No, well, I appreciate it. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're going to try and go to our good friend. Oh, do you know what? We'll go for Irvine Meadow. We'll go to Mark and see how that's playing out there.
How's it going?
Mark, how are we? First half, it seems like it's quite an interesting game for you guys. How has it panned out?
I wouldn't say 50-50. I'd probably say maybe 60-40 more so towards Vale Clyde. They've been, I'd say, the hungrier team. They've looked to go forward at pace every single time. We've been a wee bit sloppy at times, and it's been a bit kind of too lackadaisy maybe on the ball and pouring the ball over too easy.
Has there been many chances created in the game apart from the goals?
Well, we've had the penalty kick. I don't think their keeper Gordon's had a save to make. He's had one free kick which he got him quite easily, but Barkley's had 2 or 3 outstanding saves again. He's kept us in the tie. It could have been very, very different if it wasn't for Big Barkley.
I suppose, as Roy Keane says, it's his job. Mark, I'll let you go, mate. We'll just get through a couple more of our half-time updates before the second half starts. But I appreciate that, mate. If you keep us updated, it'd be appreciated.
Well, indeed. No worries. Talk soon.
Cheers, mate. An interesting goal in the 4th division, one that really surprises me. East Kilbride are 1-0 up against Port Glasgow.
East Kilbride against Port. East Kilbride against Port.
Yeah,
well, that'll hurt that one.
Adam Edgar with a goal there. That's quite an interesting one.
Good. It's one of my local teams, and Mark Steele that's taken over there. That's
right.
Kind of inherited it when Aaron went, so he's had to steady the ship a wee bit. And
particularly last week as well, 7-1 against Saltcoats, which was a real surprise. I mean, Saltcoats is obviously improving massively, but a 7-1 is pretty sore against anybody in your own. Yeah. We're going to go to Johnny Bailey. Johnny's at Mabel right now.
Hello.
Johnny, would I be correct in saying it's still 1-0? I've not seen any updates from it.
Still 1-0. Still 1-0. Second half just kicked off.
How did the first half play out?
Like you would expect, 2 teams bottom of the table, fighting for their lives. Mabel scored after about 30 seconds or something, and then it's just been kind of half chances here and there. A lot of kind of mistakes. Part's not great. It's not really conducive to good football, so there's been a lot of kind of unforced errors and things like that. But it's just a bit nervy, as you would expect. It's bottom of the league.
What happened there? That sounded a bit feisty.
Just a tackle. You know what it's like. People like to get excited. But you know what it was? I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you even played him at Cumnock, James Taylor.
I did play with Tiz at Cumnock and at Kilwinning.
Tiz made an appearance back from Exodus or something like that, whatever age he is. Still in unbelievable shape and still pretty quick. So he's doing all right for me on the right hand side.
I didn't realise that Tiz was back playing. I still have him on Facebook and stuff, so I see he always kept himself in great shape. And he was an absolute fly machine. One of the only players I ever played with, I think, that could have outrun me. So how's he been looking?
He's been looking good. He played last week as well. George managed to get him in. He actually played over 35 last night, and then he's turned up today, starting in the right wing. So he's in good condition anyway to be able to do that at his age. So no, he's doing fine. He's doing fine.
Do Mabel look like they're going to go and score a couple more? We're obviously not.
Chances, to be fair, PG, there was a couple of decent chances. There was kind of decent half chances, you would say. So they'll probably feel a bit aggrieved that they're no further in front. So it always kind of makes it dangerous coming into the second half. Next goal's key, I think. Whoever scores the next goal, I think will go on and win it.
Excellent, Johnny. Appreciate it, mate. Just keep us updated when other scores.
So the best. Cheers, bye.
See you later. We're going to try and go to a last one before we go for a wee break at Maryhill. Well, it's at Cambuslang. Quite an interesting one. Still 0-0 at half time, but that could Maryhill had a really sloppy couple of weeks after having a great spell there. So we'll just go to Aaron and see how that game's playing against Cambuslang. I think Aaron's maybe busy. Aaron, can you hear me?
Yeah.
0-0 at half time, and quite a just touched on how Maryhill have had a wee dip after their good run of form. How's the game played out?
It's been a really good game, and both sides just not hesitating getting the ball forward. Nobody's really put their foot on it or had a spell of possession. Just get the ball and go for it. Maryhill probably had the most chances, I would say. Cambuslang goalie's made a great double save when it looked like Maryhill were starting to take the lead. Jack Donoghue down the other end has made a great stop from one-on-one with his feet. So I'd say, based on the number of chances, Maryhill should be ahead, but I don't know how it's 0-0. It's a great game.
It's good. It's encouraging to see a good game then. How did the boys react to it? Because they're losing the last couple of games to teams that are below them in the league. It's gone against the recent form.
Yeah, it'd be understandable if heads were down, but it doesn't seem to be bothering them today. They're really taking the game to Cambuslang for the most part. Johnny Baxter just in on goal, and it's 1-0 to Maryhill as we speak. So there it is. But yeah, the last two performances have been below par. Don't think Mark would argue with that. But no, great to see him take the lead here now, and hopefully they can build on it, go carry on.
Sometimes it just works that way, and we get a goal live on air. It's excellent. Aaron, I'll let you go and do your Twitter duties with that goal there, and I'll catch up with you soon, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, PG. Talk soon. Bye.
Good timing there for us to be.
A wee live goal.
It's always nice. That's what you get with us. But look, we're going to go on a quick break. But before we do, Fez, we've had a comment come in, and don't worry, this is not one of your friends coming on to slag you about your fashion or anything.
Just be a random person coming to slag me.
Yeah. It's
Three bullets.
Jordan Rennie has commented, top coach Martinez will go on to big things. So that's very kind to Jordan, and Jordan's also a good supporter of the show as well. So thanks for the comment, Jordan. Remember, if anybody wants...
Jordan's obviously the pub lunch.
No, Jordan's a great guy.
I love it till last night.
If you want to get in touch with us, you can get us on YouTube, or you can get us on WhatsApp at 07396717412. That's 07396717412. Or you can get us on Instagram and X at Saturday Football Live, and we'll be right back after these. result to come in for me, and maybe, just maybe, I can get away from losing, because it's really, I'm not gonna lie, it's really upsetting me that I have to lose pretty much every week. But remember, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get us on WhatsApp at 07396 717 412. That's 07396 717 412. Get us on X or Instagram at Sat Football Live, or you can just fire up a comment on I keep saying Facebook, I don't know why I keep saying that, on YouTube. You're more than welcome to ask us anything. We're going to see if we can get Des on the phone soon for Des's quiz. So I don't know, because you're normally too busy to listen to the show on a Saturday when you're in management mode. So Des Roach, obviously, who's one of our main hosts, Des does a quiz every week with us, and the first couple of weeks it was a bit too hard, I won't lie to you. He was the obscure nonsense he was coming out with was ridiculous. But
Des is full-time Caesars.
Honestly, it's getting harder though. And we don't, and we do get some messages in now that we're on this, and it's always quite helpful, because I'm not going to lie, we struggled, but the last few weeks we've done quite well. So I'm going to give Des a phone, and we'll see. He's on his way back, I think, to his son's gymnastics. So we'll see. Des, how are we now? We're just filling in Fez. Obviously, he's normally too busy to listen to the show when he's managing.
Never listen to referees anyway.
I never wants to listen to the referees. But Des, I know you're driving, mate, so let's get the quiz going.
Okay, first question. Tommy Sloan, the most successful manager in the west of Scotland, and probably the whole of Scotland, came to Auchinleck Talbot from a player coaching role. Which club did he leave to go to Talbot?
Right, Des, just to remind you, when we're talking, the listeners on YouTube can't hear you because of a wee technical issue we have. So just give us a wee second to talk through it. So I've already forgot the end of the question. So tell me the end of the question again.
Okay, so the question is, Tommy Sloan, the most successful manager in junior football, was in a player-manager role, that's a player coach role, prior to taking the Auchinleck job. Which club did he leave to take the Auchinleck job?
Okay, let's see. I have no idea. I would go out on a limb and say Anne Bank, but what do you guys see? Any idea? Do you guys know? Bez?
You know, I was sitting having a conversation with Tucker before our game.
And you never asked me this?
No, but
how did this not work?
It was me, Tucker, and Frank Lovren, and we were sitting having a chat, and Frank was talking about his time as Bede, as manager and stuff like that, and I'm so sure.
He told you?
That I can't remember now, right? But I'm so sure that there was a discussion about this type of thing where Tommy would go into Auchinleck.
Right, are you happy?
I'm going to say Kilbirnie.
Kilbirnie? I would have thought somewhere local.
The only reason I'm going to say Kilbirnie is because we were discussing Kilbirnie.
Okay, I'll bring Des back in. So Des, I'm going for Anne Bank. Gaz is absolutely useless, and Fez is going for Kilbirnie.
Okay, the answer, in November 2003, he left Ardrossan Winton.
He was local.
Absolutely. We're only that close, we're only that far. Right, Des, what is question 2?
Okay, other than Irvine Meadow, which team in the West of Scotland League play at Meadow Park?
Oh,
Meadow.
See, I'm usually quite good with. I'm usually quite good with who plays where. To be fair,
I've got this one.
And
You've got it.
Excellent, Fez. When we have another goal in that fourth Muir Cup game, both have gone 3-2 up. So that's very interesting. Right, Fez. Who else plays at Meadow Park?
I hope I'm not going to beg my face here. Is it Cumbernauld United?
Yeah. Well, that is Guy's Meadow. That is Guy's Meadow, right there. So, Des gives a wee minute longer. So, Meadow Park.
I'm sure I've been to this place. It rings a bell for me.
You must
something out in Twitter at some point.
I'm going to
Meadow
go
Park.
100% going to limit saying I've played there, because I don't think there's a single West of Scotland ground that I've not played at.
Right.
Des, can we get a wee clue, please?
We usually end up talking about them most weeks.
We talk about every single team, every single week.
Okay, I've probably beaten most grounds in Scotland in some capacity. I've yet to beat this one. Any other clues? No, there's no other clues. You tend to be hard and I get too easy. So, choose I thought Gaz might have known.
This one is bothering me, Des, because I am sure if I check back on my Twitter, I'd find out where I'll probably been here myself.
Edo,
and I can't
do you know?
think.
See, for me,
It's going to frustrate us.
it does. It definitely is familiar. Meadow Park. So it's not a Premier League team, right? I'm very certain it's not a Premier League team. Fez, it was a good shout with Guys Meadow, but that's a wee cheeky one, so it's not there. Do you know? I'm gonna ask Des.
I'm just
is it Lanark?
Oh dear.
It's not Lanark, no.
Gaz has said Ardea.
No.
Right, we're going to have to call it a day then. Who is it?
Threave Rovers.
Oh, Threave Rovers.
I was actually at the Stranraer game.
Threave Rovers multiple times.
Have you ever seen that?
Brilliant setup down there.
That's a cheeky one. I like that. Right, Des, question 3.
Well done, Des.
Okay. Obviously, West of Scotland again. Which team in the West of Scotland Premier League had the worst goal difference?
The table's in front of us.
Right, but,
Right, well,
right,
put it
don't
away.
look, right,
Put it away.
none of us have looked, right? So
I
none of us,
literally just put it away.
right.
Not sure.
Who's
Worst goal difference.
right? I'm trying to think of teams at the bottom, right? So it won't be Gartcairn, right? Do you know who I think it might be? Genuinely, I think it might be Hurlford. Without looking, I do feel like Hurlford have had quite a poor defensive record. If you've got any other suggestions, I don't think Darvel and Shotts have lost as many goals as you might think.
No, I
so-
would just be guessing at one of those.
So I'm leaning towards Hurlford. You happy with me to go with that?
Or Hurlford? Or you want to throw one in there?
Fez, you look like you want
No,
to.
I'm not going to.
Right, okay.
Hurlford.
Right, we'll go with Hurlford this.
Okay. 3-0 to Des. There is Benburg with minus 21 goals.
That's quite tight because I'm sure that Hurlford are like minus 16 or 17.
So Hurlford are sitting minus 16, yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So well, in a lowland league, East Kilbride have taken the lead. Oh no, sorry, they're 1-0 down.
St Cadoc's 1-0.
So sorry, I looked at that. I looked at
You got my
EK.
two clubs mixed up.
What did you say? EK.
I'm saved it.
Right, so that's no right. Okay, 1-0 to St Cadoc's. Des, question 4, please.
Okay. So, going through his West of Scotland junior career, name the player from the following clubs on his journey: Cumnock, Dalry, Glenafton, St Cadoc's, Pollock, and Johnston Borough.
Right, so he's had less clubs than me. Right, so that doesn't rule in it. So
Too many out.
right, so Bez has written them down. That's good. Do we?
Is that in order?
Is that in order? This?
So who was the one after St Cadoc? Who was the one after St Cadoc's, Des?
Pollock, right? Pollock after St Cadoc's. So who do we have, Fez? We've got.
I'm trying to think of players that went from St Cadoc's to Pollock.
Des, is this a player who's still playing right now?
Yes, and someone I meet quite regularly on the school pickup run as well.
Where do you live, Des?
Well, that right. Well, okay, right.
Yeah,
So they're at Pollock.
St Cadoc's to Pollock.
Right, they're still playing.
And now at Johnston Borough.
Johnston Borough. Right, so let's see, who do we have that? St Cadoc's to Pollock. Oh, wait.
That's
Surely
easy.
it's got to be Dale Esplin. It's got to be. No, was he at St Cadoc's? He wasn't at St Cadoc's, was
That's
it?
what I'm saying. I don't think.
No, so right, okay. Who's going? You had Fraser Mullen, it's not him, right? Because Fraser's too young. Dale Esplin has gone for Pollock
To
to
Johnston
tomorrow. What about Darren Christie? No, he's up with St Cadoc's. Who else do we have that's gone from St Cadoc's to Pollock?
What's the last team there?
Johnston Borough.
Johnston Borough. Pollock to Johnston Borough. That's so Fraz Mullen, Dale Esplin, Darren Christie. Who else has gone for Pollock to?
It's not Alan McKenzie, is it?
Is it Alan? No, he's at is he no?
He's at Johnston Borough. Was that Pollock? Was that St Cadoc's?
There
Was
you
that
go.
Cumnock?
Is he not coming up just now?
No, he's at Johnston Borough.
Is he?
This
Yeah.
could be a master
Is he?
stroke, Fez.
Right, Des, we're
Let's
going
go
for
for it.
Alan McKenzie.
Wrong. 4-0 down.
Ah, God's sake.
The answer: Craig Menzies.
See. That definitely makes sense.
Actually seems like an easy
That
question.
definitely makes sense. That's quite obvious. Actually, that's a good question. Right? Can you get the clean sweep, Des, for 5-0?
If you don't get this right, then the three is need around to slap and talking to. Which was the last club that Maxie played for before taking up the job as Rob Roy manager?
Right. Okay. So Maxey did play for Rob Roy. We had Bathgate, Petershill. Petershill might be a shout.
I've not got a Scooby.
Right. I remember Maxey near the end of his time playing with Petershill. I don't. So I do remember him being out in the east, then coming to the west, and then I do feel like. Do you know what? I can't think of anybody else that I played with. Des, Petershill.
I'll give you that one. It was Petershill.
Yeah, we managed to save an absolute doing.
Well, yeah, the slapping's been withheld for another week.
Yeah, that's been one of the best quizzes I think you've done. Even though
that was good.
It was close enough that it was tough, but also gettable. So Des, thank you very much. How do we man get on today?
He's sitting in the back of the car here just now. He medalled in every single event again. So that's him 2 weeks in a row, 13 medals at a 2 weeks competition. So he's flying at the moment, guys. He's doing brilliant.
It's great news. Well done, Finn. Well done, pal. What I would say is there's definitely a bit of athletic prowess in Sharon's family then.
Well, she's certainly not coming to me in gymnastics, that's for sure.
Right, Des, thank you very much, mate. We'll let you go and enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'll catch up with you later, mate.
Okay, see you next weekend. Have a good show, guys.
Thanks, Des.
Right, so that's that was quite a good quiz to be fair. We've got I see another massive save from Bartley, so Meda holding on.
I don't know if I missed this update. Is that one each for Dalry against Dawn?
Yeah, one each. I never said it earlier, but yep, one each. Port Glasgow have pulled one back, so that is now 1-1.
And 1-0 to St Catholics.
1-0 not East Kilbride.
East Kilbride, aye. I've only had two clubs, you managed to mix them up. Then we'll walk on free kick.
Great player, nearly. 3-2 at half time to Rob Roy against Petershill. Petershill make it 3-3 at the start of the second half. Rob Roy retake the lead 4-3. That is an absolute belter game there. We are going to. Do you know what, Fizz? I'm going to pass it to you, right? What would you rather talk about first? Would you rather talk about your time at St Cadoc's, or would you rather talk about the possible league reconstruction? What would you?
I'm probably going to say St Cadoc's because I've not read any of the league reconstruction stuff.
Cannot believe
it's been down my list of priorities for the last couple of weeks.
It's all been in there.
I put the episode out last night. I don't know why you've not watched it.
I know.
I've seen some of it, Paul. I've seen some of it, Paul. But
he's a lying.
I've seen the tweet, but I decided to scroll by it.
So, obviously, last week we spoke at length about St Cadoc's, about how the potential that money was being withdrawn for the club, and that the kids' fees had been put up. I have spoken to somebody recently who, with the kids' fees stuff, it is very much a fact that the prices of pitches and everything's going up. So it's just to cover that.
I'm a coach for 2011 St Cadoc's. People just need to understand one of the biggest expenses that club's got is sleds. Getting pitches.
The volume of kids.
You know, you can take in as soon as you start playing 11s. You've got referees, you've got full pitches. It's a big chunk.
Yeah.
The younger 7s and 9s slightly different. You know, the equipment and all that. They don't need the same things. Pitches, referees. But yes, it's a small monster, that club.
Yeah, and I think I genuinely don't know. The raising the fees, I couldn't tell you what they were and what they went up to.
Well,
but all I do know is
definitely legitimate what they've done. I think for where they're sitting for every other club that I know of, I mean, I'll speak to different coaches. They're there or thereabouts with every.
So I hadn't heard that until somebody mentioned it.
So
to me during the week.
That was I know somebody. It's one of the ones. I know somebody whose friend's kid plays with St Cadoc's, and it was mentioned to me, and their concern was that it was to cover costs for the first team.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, and I've been led to believe, which I do believe, is that it makes sense. Prices have
I think
gone
it still sits below.
Or it does. I mean, you can
where
pay
they're competitors in terms of youth clubs.
Listen, I think the communication that went out was to alleviate some stresses and strains about where the money's going, what other organisations run about them and what they charge. There was a dance school that charged £150 a month, for the 2 days a week, and some that are competing on a Saturday. So for what you're getting for your kids,
I know.
And what I would say is, having been involved, like most of my background's coming from youth football and running youth teams. What I would say is, I've ran youth teams, and what really blew me away when I went into St Cadoc's was the structure of your youth teams. You get what gets provided for you as a coach in terms of your lets. This is where you train. This is where you play your games. Your referee fees get covered by the club. No kid at the club will not have a strip on their back because anything to do with financial. And there's a. I know that's what I was going to say. There's a what do you call it? There's a welfare strategy for people that need it. And I was totally blown away when I first went to St Cadoc's about. I remember thinking when I ran youth teams, I'd have killed for the support and the structure. And I think it is difficult when the price of anything goes up. But I think that the support and how probably if somebody asked me what was one of the best parts of your time at St Cadoc's, one of my first days was the prize giving with the kids. Yeah. And the thousands of kids turning up, and every one of them getting a medal or a trophy, and I think I was blown away by it.
Yeah. What people forget sometimes, it's okay handing your kids to coaches and an organisation to help you, help develop your child. But when you don't know when you're handing them in and walking away, and you don't know what the effort that it's volunteers. Let's be honest, it's dads, it's mums, it's aunties, it's uncles, it's anybody that can come down and help you to play football, and it's all about getting the kids on playing football. Now another good thing that Cadoc's offer is the pathway. You've got different levels of football getting played all over every age group. You've got from advanced out to development level. My section just happens to have 4 teams at 2011s, which is very high. Kind of messes up your training pitch a little bit come training days, but St Cadoc's have always been a club about inclusion, fairness and equality. And that's the time I've had there. I've got no complaints.
That's the thing. One of the things Brendan said to me was there was no ability barrier on kids going in, and I was one of those guys or wee guys that was trying to get a team when I was younger and couldn't get it because in East Kilbride that at the time when I was 11 or 12 you couldn't get a team. And I think St Cadoc's have that where they take everybody and they take any team or any player. And the amount of times I went to the club in the 2 years there and said, somebody's contacted me, an auntie's friends, son, and every single time they've found a place for a kid to go and play football. And I think that gets, I do think that gets missed or overlooked and forgotten. And they've not got a first team crowd or a support, and hopefully that will come in years to come. But people, when you actually delve into the club and the community side of the club, it's absolutely massive. And it's not just a team with a few youth teams. It's a huge organisation.
I mean, you're probably looking at over 1,000 plus.
1,200, I think.
1,200 football. You get netball, you get everything else. You get the kiddo section, you get everything involved in that. As I said earlier, it's a small monster. And I think, and this is something that I would like to ask Martin from your side, looking at it from the senior team down. How do the senior team engage and get some of those youth teams involved? Now I came along at a game. I think I brought my boys to be ball boys one game. Which I think the youth clubs could do more to involve themselves with the first team. Do you know what I mean? But do you think there's anything that they could have done to maybe get some of those kids, coaches, more engaged with the first team?
I mean, I think it goes both ways. I think we had a couple of coaching service nights where we wanted to get all the coaches or the youth coaches together, and because there's so many of them, I think there's 350.
Good luck with that.
I think they had to limit it to how many could come. We had nights where we shared all of our resources. We made a Dropbox link. We gave it to them to say this is what the first team are using. There's no secrets. There's nothing hidden. Take it, use it. Then we did another night with sports science where we brought sports scientists in to try and say, look, well, this is to give you a rough, platform or structure for how you should do things or what you should do, or so we tried to engage, and the engagement was really good. We had a healthy level of engagement. You're right, it was a slow burner.
But I do agree, it's a two-way street. I mean, the coaches and the kids, they need back.
It's hard when it's also hard when you're just that wee bit outside of Newton Mearns.
Correct, I agree with that.
That's the hard thing.
Locations
and to get people up to New Tinto was probably is probably more difficult than if you were getting them somewhere in the Mearns.
Yeah,
When that's the local, and as I say, when I was at East Kilbride for 10 years, it's a huge town, over 100,000 people. It's a really accessible stadium.
Yeah.
It's inside the country park.
Yeah.
We always struggled to get good crowds. You know, the club still, I went up to the game last week, you know, it's a good, it was a couple 100 people there. It was a good crowd. The crowds are as good as they've ever been, but it's so hard to get engagement, so hard to get people in the door.
I had when I was involved with starting St Peters up in the West of Scotland League, and there was real hopes that, similar to St Cadoc's, a very big youth academy, and there's real hopes that you can get parents and kids to come and watch it.
I mean, it's
Obviously, when you don't have a home, we end up having to play at Renfrew, and when you don't have a home, it's very difficult. You look at Giffnock, who have now got Old House sorted, and that's the difference for me. Where, see, if you've got, like you're saying, a home in the Mearns, it's much easier to get an extra 30 or 40 people coming along to watch than it is to try and get them to go to Newcastle.
Yeah, and as I say, even when you do have that local home, it's still hard. You know, you're battling against Celtic, you're battling against Rangers, you're battling against whatever kids are doing this Saturday afternoon, and whatever their parents are doing. And St Cadoc's aren't alone. You know, we talked to East Kilbride, talked to Cumbernauld Colts. You know, there's a lot of big community clubs out there that, and it's why you take it for granted when you look at Auchinleck, or you look at Clydebank, or you look at Pollock or Cumnock. You take it for granted that these, because in this league we can be quite insular, we can be quite wrapped up in the West of Scotland League. I think that's fair to say. You know what it's like. I mean, people phone you and tell you about things. And I mean, I've been told that I've been appointed to 2 different jobs this week.
I had to message him. I messaged him on Thursday because I'm in the media guys group chat,
and they're throwing the names all over the place.
Tommy McAdams played a beauty. He said, "Be they're making an announcement at 6:30." So instantly, everybody's going to make they're announcing the manager. So I messaged him. I said, I won't tell anybody. But I need to get another host in for Saturday.
Well, I said to him, this would really be an exclusive because I would have no idea about it. So
I think Paul. I mean, I heard that with Jamie was talking the other night with Paul. You know, I think every job over a year's period came up. His name was thrown in there.
And that's the thing. I think because it is quite an insular league, and we're all quite wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
When you actually look outside of this league, you know, a Cumnock and an Auchinleck game with the crowd it gets is actually amazing.
Yeah.
It's actually unbelievable. You look at League 2 games today, you know, and the teams, you know, Elgin playing Clyde today, I believe. You know, I don't know what the crowd will be up there, but I don't think it'll be
Johnson Borough and Clydebank a couple of weeks ago, over 1,000 at it.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, you look at that in terms of per capita, right? If you take that compared to, say, an English market for their population, that's the equivalent of a non-league game having 8,000-9,000 people at it.
Yeah,
and that's massive. You know, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, that's all part of it. I mean, that'll help support the clubs if you can get people through the doors. You know, for these clubs, Pollock and
it's massive. But they've also got 100 years of history behind them to put it where the two guys have got 2 years.
Well, I think it'll take time with St Cadoc's. I think, you know, off on the pathway, seeing the players coming through the development system and getting a chance, that's a massive thing for the young boys to look at and say, I've got that opportunity, do you know what I mean? And that's been shown over the years as well.
Well, before we move on to talk a wee bit more in depth about it, Muirkirk have equalised again, so it's now 3-3.
That's some game.
Hurlford have pulled a goal back against Clydebank, so it's 2-1 to Clydebank now. Sorry, so if you don't mind me asking, how did it come about? Obviously, the rumours were, because me and you haven't even spoken about this.
No.
The rumours were that we had a meeting previous Tuesday, and I'd heard. So again, it's because it's so insular. People want to tell you stuff all the time. I'd heard that there'd been a meeting earlier in the year, and basically things were potentially going to be changing. What came about to make you decide to step back?
So it's funny because I think you're looking for, rumour's a good word, because you're looking for a big gossip story or a bombshell. There really isn't one, you know. And I was having a bit of a laugh last night. Me and Craig Malcolm went to the game. I said I should go on and just make up something wild.
You know, there's a bit
make up something absolutely wild. I'm away because X, Y, and Z. Just be totally outrageous with it, because it would probably be more interesting. Look, the reality is, rumour is the perfect word, because rumours are always worse than the reality. And I think people start to talk and people start to phone you and people start to phone players and they want to tell you what's happening and this is happening, that's happening. And then that starts to have a bit of an effect in terms of people starting to worry that about things, whether it's about wages or worrying about what things are going to look like, and uncertainty can become difficult. And that probably had an effect on the pitch. And then there was a meeting with the club, and we said, look, I think we need to address what's going on here with the players. There is obviously changes in structure in terms of the top end of the club, which is nothing to be feared or nothing, you know, that's totally outrageous. You know, guys are going out the door and new guys are coming in, and that happens at football clubs up and down the country in the Premiership. You know, clubs like St Johnstone and Hibs and these clubs have all had takeovers. And
you look at Manchester United.
Manchester United. You know what I mean? It's happened at our level. Guys come in, everything goes in cycles. So once it was actually addressed, you know, it probably makes things a lot easier, because then you're saying it's actually not as big a deal as what people are freaking out about.
It's that whole elephant in the room. You've got to talk about it. You know,
no, totally. And I think there was. I met with the club, and they're going to change their strategy, and that's not I think again people are talking about as if, you know, St Cadoc's going to go up in smoke, or there's going to be big issues there. There won't be. You know, the club's in safe hands. The club's get great people there. They've got good players there. You look at the team that's beaten Johnston Borough just now after 75 minutes. There's 2 young 20s players playing. You know, the club is going to be in as stable and a healthy position, and that's testament to the work that Brendan's done over the last 5 years there at the club. And he flies in the background, and you know, he does his bit, and he certainly, you know, he refers to himself as a Janny or but the work he's done,
the Janny,
anything. But honestly, the work he's done at the club has been out structurally. You know, removing any financial strategy, the work he's done there, some of the things he's put in place, and the way that the club operates, you know, and it's totally amazing. And Brendan was the guy that brought me to the club.
Yeah.
I've had a relationship with Brendan dating back way before football. I've known him most of my life, and there was a change in strategy with the club. I met with him, and being brutally honest, if I was in a different position 2 years ago, coming out of East Kilbride, maybe the strategy would have been the perfect fit for me moving forward. Looking at things for me moving forward, and looking at what the club are going to have to do, it probably just wasn't the fit that was maybe there 2 years ago. You know, they're going to have to go in a different direction. You know, I'm either all in or I'm not. You know, like I don't see myself working week to week. You know, or just I'm not somebody to go, right, well, I'll do this and just see if something else comes up. But because I'm probably all in the way I work, and you know, put a lot into it and the way I want to do things, and maybe look at things longer term. And probably when after I met with the club before the Auchinleck Talbot game, and we looked at things, and I probably just felt I didn't see myself being there longer term, you know, without Brendan, and just with some of the different change in strategy, I felt there was maybe going to be somebody better to take that forward than I would be placed in that moment to do it. So yeah, I just felt for me it was probably the right thing to do, to let them go and take a bit of time to work out what they're going to do between now. I didn't want to be selfish for me and say, well, I'll just sit here till the summer, hope something, because I don't want, you know, it's not going to be here longer term, and that's not really me. And you know, the guys at St Cadoc's, the work that the guys do there, it's a great club. You know, I'll always be a supporter. I'll always have a huge place in my heart, having been my first manager's job, and you know, a club that took a chance on me as a young manager when others wouldn't. You know, I'd applied for jobs before that I wouldn't even get interviews for. You know, and Brendan picked up the phone to me when Mick was announced, and you know, when the changes, you know, I was looking at leaving East Kilbride, and when St Cadoc's made the change there, they phoned me and gave me an opportunity that I didn't think would have come, and so it'll always mean a lot to me. But I just felt the right thing for everybody moving forward was probably for me to step aside and let somebody else go in. And as I say, that probably then puts a wee bit of an end. If they hold on to that result today and gets a fantastic result for them, and I'd like to think that puts a wee bit of an end to what's been a difficult 3 or 4 weeks for the club on and off the pitch. And you know what? Sometimes there's that wee period of transition and change, and everything becomes a wee bit disjointed, and everybody's a wee bit like, what's happening? Is the manager going to be here? Is the manager not going to be here? And I like to think if they go and get that result today, they can just concentrate on winning games between now and the summer, and nobody more happy with that.
It takes all that chatter away.
It just removes all that.
And I think that even having this as well, because obviously you're not sore about the way that you're not there anymore, so you have no ill will towards the club. It may be, if anybody listens to this, it kind of puts it further to bed and lets the club just be able to go on. Before we go on a quick break, what's next for you then? What's the plans for the?
I've got
the
a
next
2011 team that would, honestly would do a great job.
Well, I took Rolls Royce under 17s on Thursday night for an hour.
Is that right?
My mate takes 70 for me up and was like, come on up Thursday night. So I done that.
Love it.
What? I have no idea. I have no idea what's next. And I'll be honest, that was part of the reason, making the decision that if I wasn't going to beat St Cadoc's longer term because their changing strategy and what they wanted to do maybe didn't align with. Now that's not a criticism, MD. That's just they want you.
It's football.
It's football.
Exactly.
With Brendan going, my relationship was with Brendan.
Yeah.
And
that happens a lot.
That happens a lot, and I felt
In a
you
lot.
guys taking over and operating things, and their strategy didn't quite align with mine, and I've worked so closely with Brendan.
Yeah.
Just felt like this is probably selfishly maybe have to look at what's next for me, and if it's not going to be here, then I can start looking at that now because I don't plan on sitting here on a Saturday afternoon. I'll be honest with you.
You're obviously involved with the Scotland setup as well, and you've got so many things going on. Mark, I can only see you going on to big things personally.
It's funny because people always say, "Oh, what you." I have never been somebody.
Don't forget us when you're
to go off. I hope you're right. I hope you're right, guys. I've never been somebody to go. I want to be here at this level in 5 years. Because see, when I was at East Kilbride, I wasn't thinking about St Cadoc's. I was concentrating on being good at what I was doing in that moment, and I've done the same at St Cadoc's. And I'm sure when the next thing comes up, I'll just want to concentrate on being good and being decent at that and trying to get better. Because I've learned so much in the last 2 years, and I don't plan on stopping learning. So
good on you.
Excellent. Look, we're going to go to a quick break, so just stay with us, and we'll be right back after this. What's been happening with certain things that involving himself at St Cadoc's and certain things involving the club at St Cadoc's, but we've still got lots of games going on. So we've got Irvine Meadow are 2-1 up. Glenafton went 1-0 up on Benburb. It is now 1-1. Bailey Leaving, after being 4-2 up against Lugar, it's now 4-4. Wow. Nielsen 2-0 up against Bells Hill, now 3-2 to Bells Hill. Very interesting in that's third division. St Cadoc's, talking about too much. Whitlets, who were 2-0 down, are now 3-2 up. So Whitlets as it stands, Whitlets will go top of the league at the end of the game today with not very long left. I think we'll get 8 minutes left in the Irvine Meadow game. Still 2-1 to the Meadow against Baylor Clyde.
It's a great result.
that third division's really interesting as well. 2-1 to Bede against Gartcairn. That opens things right up in the Premier League. Gartcairn, they're in trouble.
Yeah, big time now.
We've been saying it for weeks and weeks, and we said for weeks and weeks before that they had too much quality to go down, guys. It's not like it now.
No, I agree, Paul. I mean, we both said, even with the point deduction, we think they should be sitting higher in the league. Today's a hammer blow, I think, for them, if I'm honest. I mean, shots are doing it. No, I think Gartcairn are going to suffer after the day. So, yeah, massive for them. And as I said, I really, really, really think they should be sitting higher in the league.
I know. In the cup, Largs, Will Sewell has put Largs ahead. So they are 1-0 up against Darvel in the semi-finals of the cup. I think for Darvel,
they look a wee turn as well.
I think when you get to this stage, you really just want to get to the final and try and see if you can win it. In terms of the league, it might not be the worst thing ever for them to not be in it, to just go and try and play the league and focus on the league. In the Lowland League, Cali Braves have taken the lead against Civil Service Strollers, so that's 1-0. Irvine Vicks have gone 3-1 up against Glasgow Perthshire. An important goal by Kevin Adam, not a surprise there. As we were talking to Jordan when he was giving us the update for the Cumnock and Pollock game. Well, we spoke about Lee Duncanson, my mate for work. Lee has just been taken off, so I wonder how he'll be on Wednesday when I see him. Eglinton are 3-0 up against Saltcoats in the 4th Division. Knightswood have taken the lead against Carluke. Port Glasgow pulled one back, so it's 1-1 for them. Auchinleck, Talbot are, is it 1 each?
1 each.
Well, what, the Talbot?
Aye, the Talbot.
I'm just working my way through the scores just now.
Sorry, Paul.
In the Broomhill and Berwick game, it is still 0-0. So you guys, as it stands, are winning again, guys. Eglinton have now made it 4-0.
Musselburgh have taken the lead.
Musselburgh have taken the lead. Carluke have pulled one back, 1-1 against Knightswood. That could be really interesting if they drop points there and Port Glasgow can manage to get the win against East Kilbride. But I wonder if that park's a bit of a leveller.
2-0 to Cumnock.
2-0 to Cumnock. That's a
big result.
A hammer blow for Pollock, but a real big one for Cumnock. And that's well. We'll touch on that just now. In the Premier League, as it stands, Darvel obviously not playing today. Shotts playing. Shotts are not playing today as well. So you've got the two of them with the day off. So they're going to stay where they are in terms of points. Gartcairn are losing, obviously. They're sitting, if they lose, 13 points with 6 games to 13 points with 6 games to go. You've got Darvel will have 6 games in hand on them with 2 points behind.
But not only Darvel, you've got Shotts and the Bens, which have got 3 games in hand on them as well. So
and if
the Bens in about them,
if the Bens take a point with 10 men today, it turns into not a bad point.
Definitely,
exactly.
Right. And that's the thing.
So you really need to be careful, Gartcairn there now.
Because you look at, to me, if you go up to Bede and Pollock, they are safe. In my opinion, I don't see.
Sorry, Paul, just jumping in there. That's 4-0 at the Buffs.
4-0 game over there. That's a massive result. Kev's, I think as well, that you look at Kev, who it's only his second job as a manager. He's a young manager, and they didn't have the best of starts, but have stuck with them, and I think that shows sometimes that you really need to
have that trust
and allow managers to make changes. And
it's easy, let managers be managers.
Exactly.
Don't manage them from committee rooms, from sidelines and all that.
Yep.
You brought these guys in for a reason.
100%.
And if you're going to start shouting,
what would be your view? I get the impression that your working relationship with the committee was decent at St. Cadoc's.
Absolutely.
What would be your view on, to go back to Irvine Meadow? There was rumours that Brian Lamb was maybe a bit overly involved in terms of previous managers before Jamie. I don't know how that relationship is. But what would your view be if a committee bring you in, but then start trying to be overly involved in your eyes?
Well, that's a difficult one, because I think again it's got to be a two-way street. I think there's committee there to do their role, which is so important that managers there, but they've got to kind of be in sync.
Yeah,
they've got to work together. Just from previous experience, having worked with Brendan, worked with him every day. You know, I worked with the committee at St Cadoc's every single day.
Yeah.
Even going back to East Kilbride, I was only manager there for 3 months, but even there when I was assistant at under Chris Aitken, we worked with the owners there every day. You know, now it's a certain point of view where somebody says somebody's over involved. You know, nobody's complaining about somebody's over involved when they're giving you massive amounts of support.
I know.
And so it's, you know, people have to understand that committees are as much a part of it as the
And do you think
players
from
and
this
staff.
point of view that, you know, these committee members have potentially been at that club for 20, 30,
their
40
life.
years? Do you know what I mean? They're in with the bricks. You know, they
100%.
literally are their club. Most of these people. So,
And I think, and again, there's no right and wrong to this, but the way I would probably work is it's a kind of open door.
Yeah.
Everybody's one team. I think for the minute we went into St Cadoc's, we had, you know, the committee, the playing staff, and I think because there's not a big community support in terms of a fan base, we all kind of worked and
Pulled together.
we all pulled together. We all worked really tight.
I always felt that going. Yeah.
And I've never felt the need to, you know, not want committee involvement or support or anything like that. You know, because I think if you want to be successful, everybody's got to play their own part, and that comes through my background. I was a kit man.
Yeah.
You know, when I started at East Kilbride, I was doing the kit, and I worked with Billy Ogilvie, and Billy Ogilvie made me feel at the time like I was the most important guy in the room.
And that's a
Guys,
skill.
I know.
I love people like that myself.
We'll get some interesting ones coming in. Muirkirk have taken the lead 4-3 against Forth. Nielsen have pulled it back to make it 3 each. And a really interesting one. A really interesting one in the 4th division. East Kilbride have drawn with Port Glasgow, a 1-1 draw there, which I won't lie, I would have banked my house on Port Glasgow winning that for a couple of goals. That's a massive result for East Kilbride there. But Port Glasgow will be ruining that opportunity as it's still 1-1 with Carluke and Knightswood.
What's the Perthshire score?
They are 4-2 down. 4-2 down.
Says my draw.
Alright, so that's, but to be fair, we're both wrong with it. So it's all right. You're fine. We're into added time at Meadow Park. Still 2-1 there.
Which Meadow Park?
No, well, three have pulled it back to 2-2 against Glasgow United. So that's quite interesting there. That it's quite Maryhill. Maryhill have doubled the lead. They've gone 2-0 up against Cambuslang Rangers, which Cambuslang, they're also in a position where it's quite worrying for them at the bottom of that 2nd division. After getting relegated last year, they're now in a real tight spot. It's really helped them that Muirkirk have managed to take the lead against Forth, because Forth would have leapfrogged them with 2 games in hand. Sorry,
just in there as well. Full time Arthurlie Cumbernauld. Arthurlie get Cumbernauld win 1-0 at Arthurlie Dunterley. So that's a big result.
It's a big result for them, and opens up. We'll go through the leagues in the next 5-10 minutes after we have a break. We're going to our phone-in stage of the show, and we'll touch on these points. But in that 1st division, that is so tight that you're looking at Arthurlie, who we've said for ages, they've got so many games in hand, they will be fine, they'll go and they'll probably still win the league. But now the Knights would have just won the league for me today. 2-1. Injuries time. Port Glasgow have dropped points. Knightswood
have got points, yeah.
So that is Port Glasgow on 53 points, Knightswood on 59, 6 points, 8 games to go. Knightswood have dropped 7 points in the first 22 games.
But again, Knightswood and Port are not conceding goals. So they're tough oppositions. They're really tough prospects to play against.
And that is full time at Muirkirk. So 4-3 to Muirkirk at Forth. That's a really important one. For me, this is.
Do you know, just quickly, Paul, when you mentioned that score, that I think is going to show spades of what those players are all about to Ross. You know, they go there, they go down early, very early, at not a very nice place to play football, and pull that back to 4-3. He's going to be extremely happy driving up the road.
Oh, he will be, and we'll try and get him on the phone to be fair, because it's
that's a great result for them.
Isabel's just let us know that it was full time. Thanks for your tip, PG. You're still a good luck mascot, because every year I tip them to go down.
You did tell me that you've got to turn.
I didn't tip them to go down this year, to be fair, but
you've got to do it going forward.
I tip them to go down if they get into the 1st division.
Right, you'll love that.
But they're a step closer now.
Yeah, that's a big result today.
Nielsen dropping points, Whitlets take top spot, but Muirkirk are they're 5 points behind Nielsen with 3 games in hand. They are 6 points behind Whitlets with 4 games in hand. For me, does that put them in the driving seat?
Listen, we've said this before. You would rather the points than the games in hand, but I think it does. I think the way they're playing, I think the mentality the players have showed over the last few weeks, we'll just see them over the line. So I think we're going to have enough to go.
I think that they're looking
I really
like it
do.
just now. Full time, 1-0 to St Cadoc's against Johnson Borough. The fact that Drumchapel have beaten Troon 2-0.
Yeah.
If Clydebank hold on, is that it? Not mathematically, but how do we see that? I mean,
it's hard
when you get second and third get beat.
Second and third lose, and they're 16 points clear if they hold on.
Yeah.
16 points clear, 10 games to go.
Yeah, that's going to feel so for Troon and Johnson Borough. They're going to feel that's a big slip up.
We have full time at Home Park 2-1 Clydebank.
2-1.
So
Great
I
job.
don't see how. If they beat, I think it's done. It's 16 points, 10 games. If they beat Troon on Tuesday night, 19 points, 9 games. I just.
Is it at home Tuesday night? Is it at Home Park? Sorry.
Actually,
I think it is. I think
Stevie said that. Aye, so
I think he was plugging it.
Is it? So well, he's got one. I'll head down to that game.
So for Clydebank, they have Troon on Tuesday night. They're away to Beath on Saturday. Then on the Wednesday night, or Tuesday night, sorry, they are at home to Talbot.
So just a quick question on how do you feel like, so even from St Cadoc's point of view, from playing on some surfaces, say Troon's, to then playing one of the best games I've seen this season against Clydebank on Home Park's surface, do you think that's a disadvantage to you, or was an advantage or disadvantage to St Cadoc's, or is it everybody's playing on the same pitch, it's a leveler, you know?
I don't think there's any getting away from our results on the tough grass pitches in our 2 years were never solid. They were never great. You know, we had probably 2 of our worst defeats. We had Arthurlie 3-0 away last year on Dunterley, which at the time was really rough.
I'll give you that.
And then the Troon game there, where it was a culmination of things, but the pitch. I'm speaking to Jim before the game, and I was saying the pitch looks great. He was, you know, it's not at its best, and the rain came on.
Oh, it was sideways, man.
Sideways all night.
A horrible night.
And there was a couple of ones where boys had, you know, mouldies on in the warm up because of how sticky the pitch was and hard it was. And then by 15 minutes they were slipping and you know, we were in at half time, and I'm saying to one of the guys, "Why, I can't believe you've not got medals on," and he's saying, "I've done the warm up, it was rock solid." You know that way. So for us, we probably, just the way we wanted to play the game, it probably never suited us on the more difficult pitches. But I think then that you can make, you know, we made small tweaks to the game this year. You know, there's no getting away from the fact you could argue that Kieran made a big difference in terms of those types of games when you were, you know, Kieran's such a focal point in terms of his running power, and he's you know, even when his touches is maybe not there, he's so big and powerful and fast and strong that he's a real outlet.
He has a presence on the park.
So our results away in those types of pitches this year were actually better.
Right.
You know, we went to Shotts, we won 3-0 at Shotts. We went to Pollock, we won in Pollock. Albeit the pitch was not bad at that time. So our results on those types of surfaces were slightly better this year. So for us, that was one thing we had to work on. We had to work on how do we go to those types of pitches and be better than
That's
what
a part of the game, you know. You're not quite 50-50, but probably 60-40 on grass to Astro or something like that.
I think it's probably the other way about now, if I'm being honest. I think
a slight flip on
that. You've got St Cadoc's and Ben's, obviously, New Tinto. You have Clydebank at Home Park,
Cumnock Astro,
Gartcairn
Astro,
so that's 5.
Drumchapel 6.
So you've got I say one. We've got Large as well, so that's 7. So you're nearly half the league. Which, so we've got some results coming in. So we've got Bobby H saying 3-all with Glasgow United, 3. Kenny Young messaging in 4-4 with Logan and Bale leaving. Midtown Sheriff, an excellent contributor. 1-0 to Cumbernauld with touched on. 0-0 with Greenock and Glenvale. That's a really interesting one. 1-1 with Benburb, full time there with Glenafton. Urban Vics have beaten Perthshire 3-1. Kilsyth Rangers beating Yoker 1-0. We've got a half-time result in the Lowland League. East Kilbride won. Who are they playing? Sorry,
That's Musselburgh. That's the South Challenge.
South Challenge. So a semi-final 1-1 that. Finnart and Wishaw drawn 2 each. Another good result for Finnart. Sadly, the Glasgow United 3 game was abandoned in the 89th minute, an injury to the 3 goalkeeper. So we hope that he's going to be all right.
Dog's got it. Keeper.
Yeah. 2-0 to Campbelltown against BSC. A massive one for me at the bottom end of the second division. Craig Mark getting their second win of the season, beating St Anthony's 1-0.
St Anthony's 1-0.
That's a really interesting one. Gartcairn losing 2-1 to Bede. Ross Vale 6-0 against New Mains.
That's a good result.
Dougster letting us know the final score 2-1 with Clydebank against Hurlford. Thanks for everybody commenting in. It's quite a lot to unpack, to be fair, in the last hour. We usually go for a lot of interviews in the last hour, but I actually think we're going to try and unpack some of the implications of results, because there's been teams that you wouldn't expect dropping points and teams you wouldn't expect picking up points. It's quite an interesting day today, but we will get some managers on. We'll speak to I assume we'll get Moff on, and I'll tell him that he's won the league today.
See what he says.
I'll see what he says.
Quite a big half-time score on the Lowland League as well. Gala 0, Cowdenbeath 1.
I saw that actually. I did see that. That's a massive one, particularly
for Gala.
With Gala being adrift and it still being half-time.
So am I right in saying the Buffs Lakeside game still getting played? That's now 4-1.
4-1.
3 minutes ago. Let's see. Goal, unfortunately.
Must be due to the finishing. So it's John Robertson with a goal for East Kilbride on the stroke of half-time against Musselburgh. It's there's a lot of interesting results in it. I think that as I touched on earlier, Calibraves were 1-0 up. Civil Service Strollers scored to make it 1-1, so it's half-time there. Dalry 2, Thorn 2. Greenock will be absolutely raging the fact that they have dropped points on the same day that Thorn have. But look, we're going to take a quick break and then we will be back with the phone-in section of the show. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can get us on WhatsApp at 07396 717 412, 07396 717 412. Drop us a message and we can get just let us know what you want to talk about and we'll give you a call back. Or you can get some comments onto you can get some comments on YouTube if you want to ask the guys or myself, or if you want to vent about your team losing today, or you want to gloat about your team winning. Really big one in the semi-finals. Talbot won, Thornywood won, went to penalties. Talbot win 4-3. That's
David a phenomenal run in the cup.
Tremendous
great
season.
results recently.
So we'll be right back after the break. So remember, just get in touch with us if there's anything you want to talk about. The guys and myself are here to answer anything you want to talk about. We're right back after these. former St Cadoc's manager, Martin Fellows. So we're now at the phone-in stage of the show. If you want to get in touch with us, get us on WhatsApp at 07396 717 412. That's 07396 717 412. Or you can get us on X and Instagram at SatFootballLive. Or you can comment on YouTube and just anything you want to talk about, let us know. We've got a few more results coming in. Ardeer 1, Girvan 0. Mabel 1, Blantyre 2. That's a real shock there. Mabel will be absolutely devastated to lose that goal late on. Whitlett's finished 4-2 against Cali Locals. Kello 0, Giffnock 0. Bonneton 4, Lanark 0. It's a great result for Bonneton there. I think that just our good friend of the show, Josh Gardner, who has had a really tough time. Great win for them today. An unexpected win, but a good one. But you've had pretty much everybody about them has dropped points today. And that's massive for them, because you're looking at
They're not far off.
No, and they've got Kello twice to play as well, which means that that's a team who go catch. So as it stands, I think the table's been updated potentially. Yeah. So you're looking at West Park lost to St Peters today.
Yeah.
Easterhouse have lost to Royal Albert. Kello have dropped points. Port Glasgow are too far gone for them, but they've dropped points. Eglinton have won. Carluke have dropped points. So every single team about them. Rossvale now move into 5th place, 6 points off of 6 points off of 3rd place, Kello Rovers. Still got to play them twice. They're 6 points off at Easterhouse in 4th with 2 games in hand. So it's really interesting.
A lot of positives there for Josh.
Aye, definitely. But again, there's so much going on today that it's a very interesting day, guys. With Josh in that 4th division,
yeah,
it really has opened up for him with results.
I think he's got. I mean, the next couple of games is going to be big for him. With the teams running about and dropping points, he's only going to feel good about getting into these games. Kello, Easterhouse above him. Well, I mean, he moves above Easter. No, he doesn't. He just calls it back to Easterhouse. So I think Josh is going to be looking forward to the run-in. If he can keep the boys confident and keep this momentum going from this week, I think he's got a good chance of pushing up there. But it's going to be tough. I mean, the teams above him.
I spoke to him last night, and it's the first time he said to me in months he's had to leave somebody at the squad.
Really?
So I mean,
everybody's fit, everybody's ready to go.
See, for you guys, Fez, when at the Premier League, obviously you have better resources than your Rossvales and stuff. Was that something that you struggled with at times? Was to get a full squad?
No, probably not. I think we always utilised the under-20s, who we've done a lot of work since we went into St Cadoc's to try and replicate something closer to what we had at East Kilbride, where we always had 1 or 2 breaking through every year. So it was really important for us to try and get young players on the bench when we could. But no, we had a big healthy squad, so it wasn't something, we had to leave players out quite a lot, and it can be a difficult part of the job.
It's not nice, is it?
And again, if I'm being brutally honest, I didn't find it as hard doing it at St Cadoc's as I did taking an under-20s team, because when you're doing it at under-20s and the player, their football means everything to them. They're not getting paid.
So what it means to them.
And it's 16, 17, 18, you're leaving boys out of squad. It can be tough. Whereas I feel at this level, you're dealing with good, 90% of the time, you're dealing with good pros, good guys. They a lot of the time know where they're at. They know where things are at. They might not like it, but I think if you're honest with people and you have that, you have a good relationship with them, which makes a big thing. It makes a big difference.
Definitely. Just going to touch on some half-time results in the Lowland League. So Broomhill 0, Berwick 0. So let's really pray for a Broomhill goal there. But I'd even take a Berwick goal today just so I don't lose. Civil Service Strollers 1, Cali Braves 1. But a surprise result for me, even though they're sitting at the table. East Stirling 2-0 up against Celtic B at half-time. That's a good result for them.
Yeah, like that.
Big one that you touched on, Fez, Gallifreydine are trailing Cowdenbeath 1-0. Les Mahago and Gretna is goalless at the half, and Trinent 3-1 up on Hearts B at half time. Albion Rovers and Bo'ness are going to be playing each other 7:45 at Clifton Hill. I don't know, Fez, you would have heard it, guys. I don't know if you'd heard it last week. We were laughing in the studio because obviously last weekend we had 16 degrees. It was really nice, and even during the week it was a fairly nice week.
Yeah.
But Clifton Hill could not make the grade. It was a waterlogged park. and it was only announced about an hour before the game, which I thought was quite interesting at that level, that your part's waterlogged when the weather's been decent for a week.
I actually spoke to somebody last night, and it was a referee's call.
Really?
Yeah. So I spoke to a player last night that plays with Albion Rovers and said that they were as surprised as MD. The referee made the call that there was a part of the pitch that he didn't think was.
Sounds like the referee did a night out that night.
He was happy to pick up half his money and just call it a day. But you'd been there, you'd have thought he was. I'm looking at my phone. So for anybody that watches and is your first time in the studio, I'm always on my phone updating things, and I'm now at the stage where I'm trying to get managers on, and I've had 2 messages from Knightswood players asking if the Port drew today, and sadly they did.
They did, yeah.
It's breaking my heart that the Port they're not going to win the league now. But
I think they're still a shooting.
I think promotion. I think
is a certainty.
I think promotion looks like a certainty for them. But we're just going to try and see if we can get some managers on in the next 10-15 minutes, and we'll get a wee chat with them. We'll have a wee look back. Excuse me, my throat's getting a bit. We'll have a wee look back. We've touched on the promotion side of things. For look at the cakes.
Oh my
I'm going to have a wee look.
Another break, Paul. Another break.
I know. Actually, but I'm going to
Get the
put this on the camera for anybody. So
this is the standard being set.
I know, but don't worry. Safe hands. So Fez is first time guest, and I tell you what, he's produced. So he brought in some lovely macaroons, which are all gone, and we'll have some other cakes in here. He's done some job. I tell you what, guys, you take your penguins up the road with you.
And my time out.
I like the time. I've had a couple of them. I'm losing my place. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. We'll go back to
cakes.
Back to cakes. Back to the Premier League.
If the Honey Trap Shawns wants to sponsor the show and send in some cakes,
they're more than welcome.
Fantastic.
They're more than welcome.
I doubt it they're listening, but that'd be nice.
We touched on the Premier League. Clydebank obviously being the big winners today, with Troon losing, Johnson Borough dropping points, Talbot not playing today. But let's look at the bottom half of the league. Darvel obviously not playing in league action. Shot's not playing in league action. Gartcairn losing, so the bottom 3 stay as is. Benburb picking up a point. Hurlford losing, so Benburb and Hurlford now sit on 16 points. I think Cumnock have gone a long way in potentially keeping themselves out of the relegation zone and giving themselves a wee bit of breathing room with that win against Pollock today, because that takes them up to 20 points, which for me is a huge result for them, and one that's greatly needed. Or sorry, are they in 17 points? I don't know if the league's updated this yet. But
Cumnock will be on 20 now.
20 now, right? So that's a massive result for them. How do you see it playing out? Fez, normally I'll speak to the guys and I'll ask them if they have a prediction, and it can obviously change weekly depending on results. Based on today's results, and now that you're no longer attached to a club at this level, looking at the bottom half of the league, where would you say your bottom 3 could be at the end of the season?
So difficult to call. So difficult, because even if you look at Darvel's result today, as much as it's not picked up anything, 1-0 Largs, so you know how well Largs have done this season. And again, the wee bit of a false showing the table because they lost 3 points because of an admin error. So I think it's going to be so tight getting into those final few games. You look at Gartcairn and they've played a lot more games than everybody else. They're on 24 now.
That's great.
6 games to go.
I
actually think it's, I think, not being critical of MD, but I think it's so difficult when you get a bottom 3 and you get somebody played 19 and somebody played 24.
I know.
And the same, it's so hard to
gauge it.
I mean,
it's really, as good
even
as
for Mick trying to manage through that stage, when he's the team sitting below and above him. I've played so many less games, and usually at this point of the season in another league, you'd be looking at it, and everybody played the same games. You'd be looking at goal difference and stuff like that. But it's so difficult to tell where things are going to go because of the difference in games.
I know, and it is crazy that I know Gartcairn went out of cups early, and them having the Astro means that you don't have the same situation in terms of bad weather, unless it's really, really cold or snowing. You don't have the same issues. But I agree, the fact that they've only got 6 games left, and we're sitting in the middle of March.
And there's some hard games in there. I think they'll get Troon twice.
I mean, that's a killer. Because Troon won't win the league, and Troon know that, despite what
but they'll
maybe they'd say quality.
Point.
So their remaining games are Largs, who are back in form, The Talbot, who are flying just now, Glenafton, who are a bit in form as well.
Yeah.
Then you get Troon, then Troon again, and then final day you've got Shotts. Honestly, based on current form, in those 6 games, I think that they'll be lucky to pick up 3 or 4 points based on current form.
Just while you're mentioning Talbot there, they've beaten Thornywood in penalties.
4-3 in penalties. It's a massive one for them.
Yeah.
Disappointing one for Thornywood, but a real credit to themselves.
Credit to Thornywood though,
Aye.
they comfortably
Oh, what a run they've
beat
had.
us
It's
in
massive.
the quarter final, and then to go to
And
Beechwood
show that was different.
and go to penalties. I think it shows. I mean, they've got some brilliant ex-senior quality.
Yeah.
Guys that have played hundreds and hundreds of games in the
Aye.
leagues, and albeit at the different end of their career now, but you can see their
Aye,
experience and
exactly.
quality.
Of course, yeah.
And we're going to go to Gordon Moffat at Clydebank, see what Moff's views are after the game today. All right, Moff. Congratulations on your win today, 2-1. It seemed on paper for us 2-0 early on, looked really comfortable, and Stevie gave us his update at half time and it was quite comfortable. Did they put you under a bit of pressure in the second half?
When you look at the results this season, you're even against the sort of top 4, 5, 6. It's always sort of, if they do lose, it's 1-0 or 2-1. So we knew that, they'd obviously adjusted things at half time, and to be fair, I thought Hereford were excellent second half. They made a real game of it. We still carried a real threat, and I think Jimmy Grant went through, clean through, and probably if he scores at that point 3-0, it's game over, but he never. And then they got back on with a sort of ricochet. Triskia hit Andy, and it kind of ricocheted back off him and trickled over the line, so that gave him something to go after. And as I said, to be fair, Hereford thought they were excellent second half. They made a real push for it, but now we managed to hold firm again.
Well, I'd like to upset you a wee bit and congratulate you on winning the league today, because that's 15 points with 10 games to go. But bit tongue in cheek there. How does that feel going into the dressing room after it, knowing that Troon have lost and that Johnson Borough have not had not got the result they've been looking for that's extended your lead at the top?
Listen, it's obviously good. It's good to extend the lead. The boys I'd obviously spoken, and the boys sort of heard the results, and they're happy with that. But at the same time, it's as I say, I keep saying to them, and I know it's not the answer you guys want, but it's about what we're doing, and I just want to focus on us. We've got 30 points still to play for, and I want to get as many as I can, and then we'll see where we land after that. So, listen, there's a lot of hard games coming for us, and in a short space of time, so it's going to be difficult. And as you see today with the results, there's just no easy games in this league. So, as I said, I know it's not the answer you guys want, but for me, we've still got a huge amount of work to do.
To be fair on that, we were talking earlier in the show about how there's got to be a focus on if you can try and go unbeaten in the league, which would be a tremendous achievement. I don't know if I've ever seen that at this level, particularly in the Premier League. And I know that's a secondary thought for yourself. Coming up, you've got Troon. You've still got Troon twice. You've still got the Talbot twice. You've got Drumchapel, which obviously is a bit added spice with the fact that it's a local derby and they'll be possibly looking for a wee bit of revenge. How are you going to go into Tuesday night in such a big game against Troon?
Well, I think we spoke about that. Well, I spoke about that with the backroom staff before today, just in terms of, for me, I've got to look a game or two ahead, just in terms of game plan and what we might want to do, and just thinking about the output, particularly middle of front guys. We ask for a huge output for the guys in the wide area. Although they're creative players, they're also probably putting out the numbers that are the biggest. So we've got to think about that. But for the players, the message was very different. I'm saying to players, just concentrate on the game in front of you. If you pick to play, you pick to come onto the pitch, just concentrate on doing the business in that game and let us worry about everything else. And so that's kind of what we spoke about today. For me, I'll go home tonight and probably enjoy it for a couple of hours, and then I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll start plotting things out for Troon. We'll start to assess where we are fitness-wise Monday morning with guys that are definitely in or definitely out in terms of fitness, and then we'll go about that. But no, we've obviously got our bits and pieces on them already, and we've got a guy down there again today, so it's going to be another really tough game. So it's just the way it is, isn't it, Paul, for us? It's every 3 or 4 days. We're asking some of the same guys to go again, and it's part-time football, as you know, all these things we speak about all the time. These guys have got jobs and families that's going on, so it's a huge effort, but we're up to game 20 and the boys have done well, so just try and keep it going.
Moff, how you doing? It's Fez here.
Hi mate.
Brilliant result. We were talking about it in the studio. Obviously now we 10 games to go and in such a comfortable lead. We were talking about Musselburgh. I know it's the last thing you want to talk about in terms of them, but they've sitting one each with Kilbride with 60 minutes. So I know your players going to look at one game at a time. You will look 2 or 3 ahead, output, keeping bodies available, because if and when you do get there, there's going to be difficult playoffs. When can you start to look at that?
Honest answer again, Des, again, I know it's a bonus, but honest answer is try to look at it until you've won something. Totally. For me, and I'm being genuine when I say this, looking at what's happening in the East is the furthest thing from our mind at the minute. Because we've got so many good teams to play over this side. I'm trying to focus, as I said, I'm focusing tomorrow on Troon's strengths and weaknesses and making sure we've got a game plan in place to try and win that game. And that's me being genuine. I'm really not interested in what's going on in any other league at the minute, if I'm honest.
No, I get that, mate. I get that. Well, brilliant result today and good luck for the running.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Moff, we'll let you go. As always, enjoy your weekend, mate, and we'll look forward to Tuesday night's match.
Cheers, Paul. All the best, guys. Keep it going. Well done.
Cheers, mate. See you later. I think it's quite a valid question. Is there's going to be a stage where, I know you know, I think he's quite similar to you in the sense of his preparations, and I know Moff very well. I know what he's like. I've seen firsthand how they prepare for things.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're not at the stage where they're getting Musselburgh watched, and I think the benefit of, again, it's easy for me to say because I'm not Clydebank, but the benefit of having the league almost done this early,
I think you can watch that way.
You can get somebody. Drew will be getting sent to watch Musselburgh.
I mean, I don't think it's a case of eyes wandering. I think you're at a stage where Clydebank have worked so hard to try and get themselves in a position to win this league, and ultimately winning this league comes with playoffs, comes with getting Clydebank into the league they want to get into in the Lowland League. So I don't think it's a case of eyes wandering or losing focus, but I think there has to be an element, and I'm only talking from a manager point of view, where as much as Moff's saying the right thing there, and they'll not be thinking about Musselburgh, but they'll be thinking about their own team, and they'll be thinking about not, as what Moff's saying there, not overdoing loads, not putting too much on people, not picking up injuries, getting into these last 4 or 5 games that are going to have people unavailable for. Because the playoff could be 2 games, it could be a 4-game. If the South team win it and don't have a licence, then it would be 2 legs home and away.
Right.
But if the South team do win it, it's a 3-game round robin. So
it changes.
Yeah. So I think you have to have, Moff's spot on. You can only look at winning something first and then start preparing after that. But you want to make sure your team's going to be and having a bit of experience in terms of being part of staffs at East Kilbride when they've won the league and failed to win the playoffs. You always look back and you think, could MD have done anything differently there in terms of preparing for the playoffs? Or because it's such a difficult proposition to win a league and not get promoted.
Definitely. Look, we're going to go to Jamie McKim after their win against Irvine Meadow. No, sorry, against Villa Clyde.
Hello.
Aye, Jamie, 2-1. It seemed like it was quite a tight, tense affair, but ultimately you've got to be pleased with coming away with 3 points.
PG, tight, tense, and terrible. Honestly, the quality was a terrible game in terms of quality, but I'm just delighted with the 3 points.
I was going to say, sometimes does that give you've been really pleased with the fact that the team have responded so well to you coming in. You've picked up quite a lot of points. You've had some really good results and good performances. Does this give you a bit of pleasure in a different sense that it's not been great today, but the game's been so important and you've managed to go and get the win?
Aye, that's it. At the end of the day, that's what's really about between the end of the season. We've came on mid-season and you're trying to put on great performances initially. You're just trying to get the ball, stay in the league, and then get it sorted in the summer and put a proper plan in place. And now we're going to go going forward. But at the moment, we came in the day, all we wanted was the points. That's all that mattered, and that's what it's going to be for the foreseeable.
It's been obviously a decent day for you. Rob Roy winning isn't ideal for you, but the fact that Mabel have lost and obviously you've beaten Villa Clyde, that is 2 teams who you've got games in hand on that you've really dragged back into that fight.
I think it's one of the ones. It's going to be loads of twists and turns, and I just say to the players, all we can do really is just look after ourselves. Just keep trying to put points to the board. If we do that, then we'll be fine. So really, I've seen a couple of results straight after, but obviously we go to Rob Roy next week, and then there's a couple of other games the team's running about us after that. See, as long as we just look after ourselves, we'll be fine.
On the Rob Roy game, you're now going to be looking forward to that one. They beat you only recently 2-1 at your place. What is the preparations going to look like going into that game?
Just the same, see, to be honest, just the same as we always are. I think we probably have a wee point to prove going there on Saturday, because 0 was 2-1 to Rob Roy that day. I thought that was that flattered us, to be honest. They were dominant that night. So I think the players have got a wee bit to prove themselves when we go there next week. But what I will say, they're a decent run, Rob Roy. I think they've signed well. And they're quite strong, so it's going to be a tough one for us, but we'll just prepare Tuesday, Thursday as normal, and we'll just treat it the same as we do every other. I think that's what the important part's been. Like the last week when you're preparing for the Scottish Cup quarter final, the day you're going in, for me the day's bigger, but the preparation, you need to keep it the same, and just try and make sure the focus is always there.
Jamie, how you doing? Fez here.
Oh, Fez, you in? That'll not be YouTube there, eh? Face for the radio.
I was going to ask you a serious question. If you can,
sorry, on you go, mate.
A beer or a glass of red tonight to celebrate?
A beer, 100%.
Knowing you probably one eye's in a game tomorrow now.
There's an Albion Rovers game tonight, isn't there? And then the big one tomorrow.
Correct answer. If anybody wants to spend a Saturday night at Albion Rovers, I'm sure it's Jamie McKim.
Bale's always on show.
Jamie, look, it's a massive result for you. I don't know why you'd want to do it, but you, after that game, you get yourself to Cliftonville and see how the park's looking for us since it was called off last week. But look, mate, congratulations on another great win, and there's absolutely no doubt that your game's going to be a featured fixture next week, so I'll be talking to yourself and Gibby next week about that, mate.
All right, enjoy, lads. Have a good one.
Good done, Jamie.
Cheers, mate. See you later. See, as a manager, the point I tried to make to Jamie there is obviously there has been a lot of good performances and good results. I found in my time, again, it's relative with the levels you manage it when my amateur team or when I was helping at Craigmark. Sometimes I did take a bit of extra joy. You got messages there.
He's just text me.
Sometimes you take a bit extra joy in a result where you've not been great, but you've had to dig in and get the points there.
Yeah, it's like all cliches, isn't it? Because you can talk about winning games when you're not quite at your best.
Yeah.
And I think when one of them comes, and amongst good performances, it's decent. I've always been one for performances being ahead of results, because if you're getting good performances, the results will come. And I know that's a cliche as well, but if your team's playing well and sometimes things go against you, or you have a striker that doesn't take chances, or the ones that don't bounce for you, I think it's more concerning when you're winning week after week and them all being scrappy and unconvincing. And to be fair to Jamie, I think their results and performances since he's went in have been really, really strong. You know, the performance last week against Johnstone Borough will give the whole club confidence in what they're doing. And I think now they've had to battle for one today, and it's been quite scrappy, and they finished the game with 10 men. It's a brilliant 3 points, and I'm sure they'll want next week to be a performance against Rob Roy.
I think the point you make there is, which is quite interesting, is that's good when it happens seldomly, but see if you're holding on or squeezing by every week, you can't maintain it. You start to drop off. We're going to go to Knightswood manager Michael Penders after what has turned out to be a very, very good day for them. Michael, how are we, mate? You must be really pleased with the fact that you have shown a bit of character, got that late goal, and then as you look back at the teams behind you, pretty much every one of them has dropped points today.
Hi, afternoon, Paul. I'm just kind of catching up the scores just now, and listen, that could have been us today. Cabot worked really, really hard. I think, to be fair, we've picked a good day to come up to John Curran Stadium up the hill, because it's beautiful. So I think we've avoided the worst of the bad weather here, but I look worked us really, really hard, and I think we get the winner maybe
with 5-7 minutes to go, something like that, and sort it. So it's one of the days where you kind of feel as if you need to do that, and you come in and you hear those points dropped elsewhere. So it's massive for us today.
How happy are you with your team? That I believe, from what I've heard, you could have been out of sight at certain points, but the fact that you've shown the character, you've dug in deep and managed to get that late goal, that must be quite encouraging for you.
Listen, I know we've spoken about it before, but we spoke about some of the experience in the squad, and we've quite a few boys missing today for one reason or another, for the experienced boys. So this is a new thing for the boys again. I think we had 7 boys starting the 8 boys under 20 who started the game, and that's it, as well as trying to get promotion here, Paul, and have a shot at winning a league. You're teaching these boys about how to do that. It's not as if they're seasoned campaigners and they've done it dozens of times. This is new for them. So fair play to them. Absolutely fantastic effort for the boys in the squad, and they know how to get the win. And listen, a special mention for Harry today. Harry captained the team and got the winner, and he did the winner for us late on at Saltcoats as well. And they're going to be massive goals coming into the season when we eventually sit down.
Well, it has been a great day for you, as we touched on so many teams dropping points. Next up, you've got Kello, which is another tough game. They obviously dropped points again today, but they are quite a difficult side, and if you're having to play again maybe next week, some of your younger players, it could be a different type of challenge for them.
We'll be glad we'll face them away down there on the grass, and it'll be good to take them up there. During the last time we played them, they played really well, pegged us back late on to take points off us and get the draw. So we'll be keen to try and right that wrong on Saturday. But it'll be another tough game. There's none of them at an easy just now, Paul. That's how it feels.
Look, Michael, congratulations on your win today, and congratulations on ruining my weekend.
Thanks for the first one, but unintentional on the second, Paul. Apologies. But listen, appreciate it. Thank you, and I hope you have a good weekend, mate.
We mate. Thanks. Take care. See you later.
Take care, mate. Bye bye.
Well, for me, I'm looking at their fixtures just now. Kello next week, which is a tough one.
Yep.
St Peters, who got a great result against West Park today, and St Peters are definitely improving for me. I think that Kenny is starting to make things tick there. They're starting to get the help they need behind the scenes, and things are going to look up for St Peters, but I think they'll have too much for that. Then they've got Rossvale, which for Josh I think will be a huge result. Then you get BSC, Saltcoats, East Kilbride, and then Eglinton twice, and I think that the league will be done before they play Eglinton. I think that today has been a massive one for them, and
they don't look as if anything will slip for them this season.
No, definitely not.
Up to now, so yeah.
You can hardly see, they've only dropped 7 points in 22 games or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to see where they could potentially be dropping
and again,
7 points in the last
that
few
one
games.
loss this season for them as well. So
and it's good for Albert, who are a really informed side. But look, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these. What in that?
Senior season.
And welcome back to the final 20 odd minutes of Saturday Football Live. If you want to get in touch with us or you want to get a wee call, then don't hesitate to get in touch on WhatsApp at 07396 717 412. That's 07396 717 412. Or you can get us on X and Instagram at SatFootballLive. We're also still on YouTube, so if you want to get over there, then give us a wee comment on that. It's nice and easy to speak to us on that. And to be honest, I've not done it yet, and I'm going to do it just now. If you can subscribe to the channel, it would make a big deal is if you become a member, because now the channel is now at 5 or 6 shows a week, which we're putting out as much content as we can for everybody and hoping to cover as much as we can. But through that, we'll be looking for some support to see if you can help us keep the content at the highest level as we possibly can. And I need to pay Johnny Bailey loads of money as well to keep on. He's getting such a diva, guys, to be honest with you.
The thing is, but if people are on YouTube like, share, it all makes a big difference to drive people towards the channel, to get people seeing the stuff.
I know, we're going to see if we can get one more manager on, because Fez wants to slag him for using his phone at half time. And then we're going to finish up with talking about the amount of interesting results we've had today, where it really is opening up so many different things for the league and promotion and relegation. And I'm going to go and check and see how the lower league's panning out. But in terms of, again, we'll go to the Premier League. Your old club, Fez, really big result. Quite a few potentially young players having to play the day and stuff like that. 1-0. What's your views on that game?
Brilliant result. BJ Cole just texted me to say to make sure that people know he's man of the match. So that's good for him. But I'm having a bit of a laugh there. But I was saying to you off camera there that BJ Christmas picked up a bang, it turned into hematoma, ended up in hospital, ended up with sepsis. You know, there was a chance he could have lost his leg at that point. You know, and at one point you weren't getting people in to see him at hospital because they were worried about infection and stuff like that. You know, so I remember saying to him in the hospital that his season was done. He was like, no chance my season's done. So for him to be playing in that game today,
I tasted it to the character.
I don't know BJ personally,
no, but that stands a lot.
That was quite a comment to him, because a lot of people could have folded under that, and quite really so. If you, particularly if football's a big part of your life, and you think that you could potentially lose a leg, it's terrifying. But
puts things in
perspective. No, it is, and it's a great result for the club, and I hope that just relieves a wee bit of the last couple of weeks. Has been a tough week. Has been a tough couple of weeks for everybody at the club, players, committee, Brendan, myself. It's just with change comes difficult periods. So I'd like to think that today that and it gives them an opportunity now to kind of look forward instead of looking back. It's great for Gary. It's Gary's first result as a manager, and there's two of his young players playing, Junior McQuilkin and Ollie Cameron, who have both been absolutely outstanding for under-20s this year. There's more under-20s in the bench. You know, I think somebody texted me for the game to say Ollie won the free kick that Neil ends up scoring, which is just fantastic.
Having an impact.
You know, and I hope it's I know it will be a sign of things to come in terms of the what the club will do moving forward, and it's great to see these young players in, and hopefully they go and kick on because we've got some big games coming up now, and delighted for Gary and everybody there.
Yeah, well, we have the finalists of the Junior Scottish Cup now decided. Is it Junior Scottish Cup today? Was it the Junior Scottish Cup? That's terrible at that.
No, I don't think it's the challenge in the West.
West. With the final of the West of Scotland Cup decided, so it will be Largs and Auchinleck Talbot. So Arnie will be taking his boys to his former club as a player. We've got another goal in the Gallagher Cowdenbeath game. Cowdenbeath are now 2-0 up. Jamie Docherty with the goal there, so that's a massive one at the bottom end of the Lowland League. And 2-2 with East Kilbride and Musselburgh in the semi-finals of the South Challenge Cup.
Yep.
Who else is in the other semi? I've actually got that much.
Question. I'll have a look.
I've actually got that much going on in my head. I'm not even that sure what's happening. Is it Talbot? Because I'm sure the Talbot.
South Challenge, you want to know?
Yeah, South Challenge.
Keep talking, give it a minute.
So that itself, see for me, like as well, we're going to touch on some of the results soon. Do you know what? We're going to go to Josh first. We'll go to Josh and we'll see what he's going to say about, because other than Knightswood, it's been a great day for Rossvale in that fourth division. So we'll go to Josh and see what he's got to say on his 6-0 win today against New Mains. Josh, all right, mate. Massive result for you today, 6-0, with everybody barring Knightswood and the roundabouties really and Eglinton dropping points. You must be really pleased with how it's panned out today.
With me, get beat off Eglinton, I think everybody thought that was us done and dusted at that point. Let's be totally honest about it. But I think you guys in the studio probably said it at the time. I probably even said it at the time, if I'm being totally honest. But well, I don't know what's happened to us, but it's like somebody's just turned Rossvale on again in the last two performances. Albeit we know it's against teams in the table that we know we should be beating, but it's the manner and how we've won the games. And what's really good is we're starting to get a bit of strength and depth. I said that to you through the week. That's the first time I've had to actually leave somebody out the squad this week since the second week in August, which kind of gives you highlights the injury concerns that we've had. So, and then the strength and depth I brought off the bench today was brilliant, to be honest with you. The boys were magnificent, totally dominant from start to finish, to be honest.
I did mention on the show that you were saying that your squad was getting much stronger, but we've got Martin Fellows on the show as well today, and I think Fez has got something that he wants to ask you.
Josh, I was more concerned about you texting at half time using.
That was it, mate. You worry about that.
But
How's life with it being a manager?
it's good. I'm an unemployed manager now, pundit, so I've ticked all the boxes here.
It'll be less stressful anyway, mate. You'll start to get your ear
to be honest, Josh, I'd said to Fez that you'd updated at half time because you've become hungry for the fame. You know that our 17 listeners are tuning into every word that you're saying, and you are now hungry for the fame.
Mate, we're going to do a bit for the show. I promise I'll even do it when we compete.
Oh, to be fair, mate, you've always been good that way. So we're looking at West Park next week. A really interesting game for these. One where again you'd be looking to try and pick up more points and really put a bit of pressure on the teams about you.
100%, mate. Aye. Listen, Paul, I'll be totally honest. If we can bring the performance levels that we brought today, we'll not get beat for the end of the season, to be honest. It really is as simple as that. I said that to them at the end, but we're that good. I think it was brilliant in our game today. I generally can't fault one part of our game. The only thing I could maybe fault is we had a wee sort of 10-minute lull towards the end of the game where we got a wee bit sloppy. But see, apart from that, we were genuinely on it for one goal. And I can't fault them for that. But the task is now, can we go and replicate that every week? And if we can, we'll definitely be a shout, that's for sure. But we're in a good spot now. We've managed to get through the game today with the injuries, it looks like. So we should hopefully have a good spot again a good squad for next week again. So I am buzzing with that, mate. Just need to see, hopefully get a good training weekend and hopefully no injuries and continue the trend going.
Look, mate, I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your weekend, but congratulations on your win today, and obviously being biased, I'm pleased to see you getting back to winning ways.
Well done, John. Well done, mate.
Right,
Well
mate,
done, Josh.
See you later. Bye. Sorry, Fez, I appreciate you trying to say well done, but because of the setup we have, I have to keep cutting people out.
You're good at that, by the way.
I know.
I find that.
Paul gets a lot of time on here. Do you notice that?
I get a lot of it. Sometimes when you try and talk, I just turn it down to let you think you're talking. I said that Josh might be the last call, but we're going to go to Ross Cusick in a few minutes to see how he feels after their great win today. And I've also just my cousin messaged me there, and he's obviously watching. My cousin Stephen has just said, "When did you become Specky?" So it's a recent addition, Stephen. Thanks for
my glasses are in the car.
Last week, myself, Des, and Scott all had our glasses on, so it was a Specky show. We're going to go into the first division now. Looking at Gaz has said that it's the best league in the world.
It's a big call.
I tend to agree.
I think it's the fourth division.
You'd be hard pressed.
Phenomenal viewing.
You'd be hard pressed to find a league that's more competitive.
It's just so tight all over.
You look at. I wish I know they're busy, but I wish the league would update the league tables faster. You look at it, winning today. Mm-hmm. Then you get Renfrew. For me, a very, very important win against against Ardrossan, which Ardrossan's a good side, and that all but ends Ardrossan's run for me, and the hopes to get into the playoff spot, the promotion spots. It's a really important win for Renfrew. Rob Roy, obviously, we've touched on Rob Roy, Blantyre getting their win, Co-Winning getting their win, Meda getting their win, Cumbernauld getting their win. But in terms of Renfrew, with some of the teams not playing today, like Glencairn and St Roch's, it's been a really good day for them. They've managed to give themselves a bit of breathing space in that. Now moving into second place, 2 points clear of Glencairn, and only 2 games in hand Glencairn have. But like you said earlier on the show, guys, these games in hand, particularly in this league, are no guarantee.
No. I mean, look at Offaly, for instance. They're probably sitting there thinking there's some points in that in those 5-6 games, and today they drop points against Cumbernauld, so nothing's guaranteed. If you could ask any of these managers, they would take the points in the games in hand. So
I mean, saying that they're still in a good place.
You'd still fancy them. They get enough quality.
We said that a few weeks back. They always felt like a Premier League team, Offaly, for most of this season, but obviously the cup things like cup and cancellations and things like that getting in the way. But they're in a good position, lots of games in hand, and they're a quality team.
The issue you have for me with Offaly is they're now at the stage where in the last, including cup games, last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they've only won 1 game in the last 6, and that winning's a habit, and not winning is equally a habit, and I think that they'll be disappointed with that. But I still struggle to see them not at least making the top 3, because they've got so much quality, and they've also they're just a good side, to be honest. And I think that they'll have enough. Guys, you've been down there a few times. What's your view on how they'll do?
Offaly. So that was it. I mean, I like the setup down there. I like the guys. It's a good, well-run club. They've had some interesting games. I think it was at the Darvel game earlier on in the season when they were 2-0 up and ended up losing 4-2, which was unusual at Dunterley. But I do think Arthur have enough to take on the end of the season, and they'll probably see themselves in the top 3. But as I said, 5 games in hand. I think it's 4 or 5 games. It's up to them now. It's what they can produce over the next few weeks, and today might be a stumbling block. But I think they will have enough.
I think Thornleywood can creep into it.
I mean, the way Thornleywood have been playing.
We will come back to that. I'm going to give Ross Cusick a phone and see how he feels after that great comeback today.
Hello,
Ross, how you doing? 4-3. That seemed like an absolute belter for the neutral. You managed to come back 3 times from behind. How are you feeling with that result?
Exhausted. We find ourselves 2-0 down after 15 minutes or so. I've been in this job 2 years now. That's the first time we spoke. We've played them 3 times before the day, and they've won every time. A lot of breath today without the shadow of a doubt, but we never gave up. You know what I mean? We get to each at half time was great, and then you hope to go and kick on in the second half and get the best for it. But we don't do that. We keep a soft goal, and then we'll really just go to, keep going and keep pushing and make changes. I said to the boys at the end of the game, absolutely delighted with their application, because they just don't know what I've lost count of the amount of late goals we scored this year. Well, the boys, the mentality keep going, but also the fitness levels as well to be, keeping really pushing the top floor. So, I don't want to do it. But I mean, I really hope we start to stay a bit better, because I think we're just getting another line in it. But keep getting another line, I'm happy with that. But not much
Ross, you touch on how it's always been quite a difficult game for you against Forth. Why do you think that Forth in particular is a difficult game for you guys?
Honestly, I can't get my head around that. They're a good side, they're a stuffy side. Everybody that's beaten Forth is the way that the pitch is the best for playing football, but they're the only side this year that's two goals off, it's never twice. So, when you go 2-0 down, in my head, I'm going surely not again, but, the whole thing wants to be sort of settle ourselves and get going, but I think the league feels today, so I have to say to put to bed, and give the boys, put that to bed, but that's the day, one that, the only hope part is to make sure we win.
Look, Ross, I'll let you go and enjoy your weekend. Your signal's breaking up a wee touch, mate. But look, excellent result for you today, and with kind of how things have been, I think you should be really proud of how your players are going. But look, Ross, thanks very much for coming on and take care, mate. Oh, there he goes. So it was going to be our last call, but I've had a message from Hopey. So Hopey's clearly wanting to have a wee chat. To be fair, he's always brilliant. Even if they don't win, he's great. He always wants to come on. So we'll give Hopey a call and see what he's got to say after their really good 2-0 win against Trin today.
I was meant to send them stuff and I forgot.
Didn't need it. He's asked for a call and now he's not answering the phone. Typical Hopey. Oh, he's missed his chance. He's missed his chance unless he messages me back. But I'm not like that's not the type of cake I'm normally that into. That's really
Lovely,
good.
isn't it?
Was that oatmeal
really nice.
raisin cookie?
Oh,
I think that
top draw.
yeah, I said this. You're definitely more than welcome to come back any time. Scott Perry, Scott Perry has put on. I put it up for everybody to see. He said so. Scott, who's one of our hosts on here, has said, "Told you, Atherley will hit a sticky patch eventually." Well, Scott, you are right, and it's looking like it's a tough one for him. So we'll go back to the first division. Sorry if I'm being rude and eating here, but that's a lovely wee cookie. How things are panning out in the first division, I don't think I could call who'll go up in this league. I think you're looking at Conan, Glencairn, Renfrew, Petershill, St Rochs, Atherley, or Drawson if they manage to string a good run together. And then you've got Thornywood, like you said, who I think the job that Thornywood are doing is tremendous. I'm just hoping for them that the cup doesn't hinder them too much when it comes back to league action.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think they've had a great few weeks and they're only going to get better. But listen, the cup could be a nice wee run. It showed the players what the potential of where they're competing against and what they can do. So that's going to be a positive from that run, and hopefully they can take that into the field.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about some of the experience that Thorny would have, but what we didn't talk about was some of the good young players they've got there. They've got a young goalie on loan for Hamilton that's 18.
Yeah,
certainly doesn't play like an 18-year-old, and they've got Blair McDonald up front, who I had when he was younger, and had really bad ACL injury when he was 17 or 18, and it's taken him a wee while to bounce back for that. But he's been outstanding for them. He's well into double figures of goals. So they've got that wee balance as well between Bobby Barr's experience, Stuart Carswell's experience, Ross Forbes' experience.
For the young guys as well.
But they've got young hungry ones in there as well, and that's a good balance.
I think you need that balance.
Absolutely.
Because it complements the younger boys will complement like so Bobby, I know he's the same age as me. So he'll be 37.
Hard paper in, Paul.
Oh, I know.
I worked in the mines.
I know I have a hard paper. Because I'm specky and I'm old. So the fact that I know how it is for me, my knees are garbed and I can hardly play 35s now. For guys like that, it's so much on your body at that age to be able. So see when you've got a couple of younger players who can really help you, it makes some difference.
And listen, they bring the energy as well, and that's infectious for me. I like guys that you can rub off. you know, you feel that energy, you feel that kind of.
Yep. Another young manager as well, so
yeah,
not long in the job.
Because I mean, Adams obviously played at a really good level.
Brilliant level, yeah.
And I think that his experience is showing through. But like you said, he is still young. I think must only be about 35, 36 or something like that. So he's still a young manager as well, and his contacts will go a long way.
Yeah.
He's definitely.
Yeah, I always say it's about who you know what you know.
And I'm looking. We're nearly finished the Broomhill and Berwick game, and it's still 0-0.
I'm gonna win this year.
I know.
You're just brilliant, man.
So Civil Service Stores have gone 2-1 up against Calabrese after being 1-0 down. Callum McKenzie's a header blocked in the line. Do you know much about Callum McKenzie? Because he seems to be banging the goals in for Broomhill just now. He actually scored I get sent a picture or a video, of a penalty he had against Cumbernauld Colts. Panenka did it, and it was lovely. And apparently he did it last week.
I've seen that as well. Actually done it a couple of times now.
A great penalty. He seems to be a name that, since I've started looking more at this level, he seems to be a name that is creeping up more and more as well. And it's good when you get young players who get into it. East Kilbride, Jamie Hamilton heads back into the lead for East Kilbride, so 3-2 against Musselburgh with only a few minutes remaining in the 90, and the game's over for Musselburgh. 4-2 to East Kilbride now, so that's game over. 89th minute.
Well, that's a good one, because that's one of the only cups that goes to extra time. So I think the last thing Mick and Si would have wanted would have been
extra time
after a game during the week.
Yeah,
another
more minutes on
extra time. So gives up East Kilbride.
Definitely 4-2 to East Stirling against Celtic B. That's a really good result for them in the Lowland League. Let's see. We'll have a wee look at the second division. So we're talking to Ross, obviously. Nielsen managed to pull a point out of the bag late on. Whitlets were a good win. I think that Whitlets have really started to pick up again under the new management team. They had a wee dip, and it wasn't great when Mick left, because I think he'd done a very good job, to be honest with you. I think he could be really pleased with the job he did there. Obviously mitigating circumstances, and he decides to leave, but they've really no missed a beat. And Lanark losing today, really, for me, I think that top three cemented now. We're sitting Nielsen, Whitlets and Muirkirk seem to be opening up a gap.
Yeah.
And Muirkirk have the bonus of having the games at hand, which is really important.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think Lanark slipped up today. Muirkirk fought back. Players and management showed what they're made of down there. So they're going to be really chuffing into tonight and looking back at that game of the day from Muirkirk. So yeah, I think the top three are nailed in.
At the bottom of the league, though, you've got Craig Mark.
Get a result today against St Anne's.
Had a horrific time of it lately, but they've started to pick up some points.
Yeah.
I mean, the terrible one against Larkhall last week, they were 1-0 up and ended up losing 8-1.
Yeah.
But a win today, a draw with Yoker a couple of weeks ago. The week before that, ran Nielsen right to the wire, 3-2. I wonder if we're seeing signs of improvement from...
You hope so. You just hope they can start getting a couple of results, get some points on the board, so it doesn't, you're looking back, it looks a bit better coming into the season. But they'll just be looking for any positives they can get out the games now, and points they can. I think it's long gone for Craig Mark in this one. But
do you know, I think the Ants are getting into a position where
I think it's dangerous now for them losing the day.
I spoke to Monty during the week, and obviously he's still very much on they think they've got enough to stay up, but that defeat today there's no way that they would never look at that as a must win, as a 3-pointer.
That's maybe a marker to Monty to what he's working with next season and what he's going to have to do and rebuild come next season. So yeah, it's going to be interesting for St Anne's and they're up now. It's going to be really difficult.
What I would say is Craig Mark obviously winning, but they are gone. The Ants lost, Forth have lost.
Yeah.
Les Mahago have lost. Cambuslang
There's
have
not a
all
lot
lost.
of danger around about them.
So you're starting to get like Maryhill are now on 28 points. Yeah. They're, for me, looking
pretty safe,
close to being safe now. It's that they've picked up enough points of late to get themselves out of any trouble.
Yeah.
But with this, see, for me, like you look at Cambuslang, because obviously a few years ago Cambuslang were a Premier League team.
Yep.
They're historically a massive club at this level. I mean, the fact that they could be looking at back-to-back relegations, it's quite concerning for them.
To me, that just shows that when you go down into the first and the second division, how difficult these divisions are when you do hit them. And I think Cambuslang has showed how difficult it can be. And I think they need a bit of work done at the Cambuslang. I think the pitch needs a wee bit of work done there.
They're getting a bit tired.
It's getting a wee bit of TLC is needed. But
and it's hard when you come down a league and you're trying to recruit and you're trying to prepare to go back up, and you know, you look at the teams that we spoke about today that have had double relegations. It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
You know, but I still think Clydebank. I still think Cambuslang have
just enough
to stay up. Do you know? I don't know if they do.
Mm.
I genuinely, I have bad today. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair in Paul and his team, because I've only seen them once this season.
Yeah, so far.
But it was against the Port. The Port went down to 10 men and comfortably won. And it was like, I thought they looked like quite a bit of quality in the Cambuslang team. But without it will offend, but without looking to offend, the shape of some of the players was not good enough.
Really?
And it's that was quite concerning to me, because they clearly have quality, because you could see when they were getting the ball, great touches, good vision, good passing, but you didn't have the athleticism. And I think at this level, I think at any level really in football, that athleticism is massive. But look, we're nearly running out of time. We need to check and see.
I'll have a quick check of the Broomhill score for you, Paul, just to press you even more.
It's going to finish 0-0.
No.
Oh, look at that phase. That's still in that game.
Right, so we've got a minute left, right? So we're going to look at it.
Full time.
Oh, right.
Quick rundown.
I lost. Draw. So you get the draw right. We both got Clydebank right.
Yep.
We both got Meda right.
Yep.
We both got Muirkirk right. We got the draw wrong. We both got Royal Albert. So 4 out of 5. 5 out of 6 for you guys. 4 out of 6.
5 out of 6 is decent.
Another defeat for me.
And you're only getting 4 just
I'm absolutely raging, honestly, every single week. I think I've only won once in about 10 or something. I had a few draws thrown in. But look, thank you everybody for listening. It's greatly appreciated. We hope you enjoy the show. If there's any time you ever want to get in touch with us, then don't hesitate to get in touch with us on the socials. This week we have Johnny's weekly roundup. Tomorrow is WSFL Weekly. I'll be live on YouTube as well. We have Tuesday Jordan and Michael's Championship to League 2 show. Wednesday we have Paul's WSFL build up. Thursday we have Shay's All Talk Scottish Premiership. There's almost no level that we're not covering, so make sure you get yourself involved and just enjoy the show, guys. And thanks for your support. Take care, everybody. Cheers.